Welcome, folks. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. We're going to have a thrilling good time today. I see everyone up in the chat. Da, Rajat, Ginger's there. Jason, what's up? Rob, Ben, everybody, hello. Matthias. Oh boy, we got ourselves a little bit of a party today. So, before we dive in, a couple of quick little announcements. David, hello, my friend. How are you doing? First of all, you see the text up here. This is generative text, people. This is the year 2020. Da, 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 da. In case you haven't heard the news, after the championship, we kind of toned down the live streams just a little bit because we are working on some super dope stuff. Let me tell you. It's so dope Christopher Nolan might want to get involved. You know what I'm talking about? That's like the level. That's the level of insanity we're talking here. By the way, if I see a Tenet spoiler in the chat, I swear that we're done. We're never speaking again, because I'm gonna go. That's tomorrow. Which, by the way, let me tell you, nothing pro about what I'm about to say, but hot tip: Tenet soundtrack is so good. I'm gonna put a link in the chat because I have had this bad boy on loop for about a week. And fun fact: the composer, Ludwig Göransson. Yo, this man is a busy man. He did this. He also did Mandalorian. Super good soundtrack. Did Black Panther. I can't remember the soundtrack. I'm sure it's good. Also, Childish Gambino's producer. Wow. That's a lot of... There's good stuff in there. And Daz, if you're curious what this visual is made in, I got you, bro. This is Beeple. We got it. Beeple for days. And whenever I tell people, I think there's a YouTube video, I'm like, yo, just put Beeple and put some blur on it, and like nobody will know. That's a pro industry tip right there. So, now that my rambling... Oh, I didn't even get to the main point here. The new schedule for our live streams. Look at this. Look at this. Dun, 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 dun. No, I put it wrong. It's not the first Friday. Sorry, let me change the tag. It's actually the second Friday. Dun, 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 dun. Second Friday of every month, 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern. Ignore the... I'm going to just... When you go to watch the recording of this, you probably won't even see the first 5 minutes because I'm just going to cut it. But second Friday of every month, 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern, we're going to be here. A lot of the sessions we're going to do from now on are really going to be focused around bringing on cool guests. Probably going to be less of me just kind of hanging out and working, although that is fun for sometimes. I think bringing on guests, talking about all the interesting topics about our industry, talking about tools that we use, TouchDesigner, Notch, cables, all this kind of stuff. I think it'll be a much more rewarding experience for everybody. And what we're hoping is that you guys can bring questions that you want to see answered from the artists and cool people we're bringing on. David, what's up, my friend? I see you in the chat. So yeah, that's the new schedule. Second Friday of every month. So and here, I was confused at first too. Every Friday counts. So if the first is a Friday, that's the first Friday. So the second one is the one right after. Like don't do the thing where you're like, is it a full week or not a full week? Doesn't matter. You just count the Fridays. And the second one is we're here. We're right here. So, if you like what you're going to see today, which I think you will, wherever the bell, smash, what do they say on YouTube? Smash the like button, smash the subscribe button, hit all those, hit the bell icon. You know what I'm talking about? I know, Rejats, it's a lot of math. I'm having trouble keeping up on this Friday myself, let's be real here. But I digress. Today we got a real special guest, real close friend of mine. Listen, I want to say all my close friends are super talented. A lot of them are, but this one is exceptionally talented. Artist, developer, philosopher, engineer. I mean, what can't we say about Aristotle Roufanis? And on top of that, he recently won the Notch Prize for the Interactive Immersive Championship, so congrats as well to that. Now, today we are going to talk about his background, because he does have a very interesting background. A lot of different skills coming to the table and then joining our industry and really coming in hot, taking it by storm, and talking a little bit about the tools he's using, because what's interesting is I find, speak for myself on this one, but I think everyone can also relate, is once you get really deep in a tool, you kind of get married to that tool. It's a bit of a relationship. I am deep in TouchDesigner. When other tools come on, and let me tell you, if Josue's not here, but Josue, who got me onto Notch originally, he knows my resistance. When a new tool comes up, I am the last person who really wants to learn a new tool. And it's really refreshing to see Aristotle come in, have all these wealth of tools available, and then be able to use the benefits of each one, kind of bring them together, whether it's cables or Unreal or Notch or TouchDesigner, and really bring kind of a fresh perspective to that whole setup. So with that said, I'm pleased to introduce my friend Aristotle. Let me, Aristotle's, the poor guy's been listening to me just like ramble forever on his, like the Skype's open and you can like hear me just talking to myself. But let me go here to our guests side by side. How are you, Aristotle? What's going on, my friend?
Very good, thank you. Good to see you.
Ditto. My pleasure.
Thank you so much for the introduction.
Yeah, was it good? Did I do it good?
It was a great one, yeah.
It was a great one. Hold on. I think I got to turn down your gain here a second. Just say something real quick.
Check, mic check, as my friend says.
Check, mic check. Yeah, Aristotle also heard me literally yell check, mic check like a maniac for like 10 minutes before we went live. Anyways, I digress.
Was the best.
So how's everything going? Because and you know, we can start off with some easy topics that we want to talk about. I think one of them is you know, how's the COVID situation been for you? Because I know you're in Greece and it's kind of had that bumpy road up and down a lot of the time.
For sure, yeah. It was a big hit. You know, it was right before COVID hit. Things were getting great, so we were looking to get more people in the studio and everything. And all of a sudden, everything got cancelled. We lost payment for half of the jobs we were into. So it was a disaster, and it was a stressful period. Now things are slowly picking up again, so that's good. We have a lot of on the table for the next month or two. But you know, every disaster is a hidden opportunity in a way, I guess, because this period gave me the chance to develop my skills further, especially in touch, actually, because I was focusing on Notch before and doing a bit of touch, but since March, it's almost 100% touch, sorry. So I'm sort of grateful as well for this period.
I definitely think it has a little bit of that double-edged vibe where, and I think a lot of people can relate that stress of needing to pay bills and make money, but also probably for a lot of people the first time they've had a chance to like step back and say, hey, like what should I learn next? What should I kind of improve my skills on? And obviously for some folks it's definitely going to be easier than other folks to manage that balance, just because you get a little bit of money in the savings account, that's always nice, but if you don't and you're kind of working gig by gig, it can be very stressful. So it's good to hear that you're kind of like in that middle ground of, you know, even though there's a big hit on business, you're able to kind of like focus on skills. And I think it sounds like you're really making the most of this period, at least, right? Like I don't know what else like you could do other than, you know, enter a whole new business that for no reason, you know, like we start our lives, you know, we start a Skype competitor because the Skype stocks are up. Like, I don't know about that, but
I find it that it's the best, you know, mood booster, you know, to learn new things and to keep fighting. Otherwise, you know, if you sit there in your hands, there's nothing to keep you motivated and carrying on. So learning new things has been my antidepressant for 20 years now.
Hey, bro, that's real talk right there. That is, I would say work is my antidepressant. Like whenever I'm like, yo, I should like find some work to do. You know, the idle hands are the devil hands. You know what I'm talking about?
I'm addicted to it, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Now, for folks in the chat that are watching and anyone who's watching at home, if you do have questions about any of the stuff we're talking about, by all means, let us know. I believe the chat's going to be over here. I believe it's over here. I'm just going to guess it's over here. You know, it's 50-50 because it's definitely not up here and it's not down here. So put your questions in the chat. Let us know. We're happy to take them and talk about the topics, because we are going to talk about a lot of topics today. And one of the places I thought was probably most interesting to start, Aristotle, was your background, because you come from a real fine art background. And I'm not going to throw shade at other artists in our industry who, you know, they were artists before they became developers. But you were like a real artist. Like you had international gallery showings. You've traveled the world. You've been featured in like magazines. Yeah, I remember you were telling me once about the Behance thing. Like it was the front page of Behance or something like that. Like You were a real fine artist. Not just like somebody who's like, I went to design school, I'm an artist, oh, then I found out like Touch exists, now I was an artist who became a developer. No offense to that, like I'm that, but you're like a real artist.
Let's say I've been fortunate to get some good exposure and some good opportunities in the past few years. It's all a stepping stone to where we are today. Originally, I studied civil engineering, and I practiced that for quite a few years. And was working in
Is that what you studied in university?
Yeah, I have an art degree now as well, but I did my bachelor's and master's in civil engineering first, and then I was working as a project manager and in Greece and then in London for luxury flats, apartments, and houses in southern London. Quickly, I understood that I wanted to turn this profession into an art form, and it was very hard to do without having, I don't know, $1 billion or something like that. So I just realized that art was what I wanted to do, and everything else was a medium. So. I had the blessing and the opportunity to be featured at the Royal Academy of Arts in London during the summer show, one of the summer shows, which is one of it's the most historic open submission show in the world. It's William Turner showed work there from the 1800s or whatever. So this has opened a lot of doors, and one thing led to another, and things escalated from there. I've always been treating things as a business, not in terms of making money, but in terms of being putting the effort in, let's say. And I think you relate to that because you are very hardworking. So,
thanks.
Of course, luck plays a big role, but there's also a lot of work involved.
And how did that transition happen? Like, how did you go from being the civil engineer to creating a submission for that Royal College of Arts submission process? Like, was that something you were doing as a hobby in your spare time? Were you taking, or was that in that transition period where you said you were doing, you were getting an art degree? Like, how did that gap get bridged a little bit?
I was always fascinated with design and beauty in whatever form there is, and so I was practicing photography, not really in an art form, but I was taking cool pictures, let's say. Seeing the old pictures now, they weren't really art, but they were nice. So it gave me confidence to it further, and I had the technical skills to master Photoshop gradually. So a lot of learning. I had a lot of friends in the photography business as well who helped me out. And at some point, as you grow, you develop a different understanding of the world, and that's where the art part becomes important. You have to interpret the world, not only do something that's beautiful or not. So we're always going through Royal Academy. There was one of the best places for us in London, and so on one of the summer shows, my partner suggested, you should submit your work here, and I was like, no, I'm nobody. And I did, and the rest is history. So if there's some message to be said here is that everyone should submit to everything available, and you never know.
I agree with that real hard. From us working together, like, I'm a big proponent of the number game. At a certain point, especially like I think in the art, because art has become so accessible to everybody that even if you're making really amazing art, possibly the best art in the world, let's hypothetically say, and you enter a couple of submissions, there's still a pretty good chance you don't get into those, just because there's going to be so many entries. Whoever the viewer or the judges are, they're probably going to have their own taste and bias that maybe doesn't match with whatever you're submitting, and it can be discouraging for sure. Like, I've submitted stuff and said no, and then I thought like, but this was the best idea ever. And then over the years, I really took that approach, and I think similar to what you're saying, which is just submit to everything. Because if you even have a 2 or 3% chance of getting, accepted into a submission, if you submit to 50 places, 100 places, all of a sudden you have won a couple of submissions, and that's assuming that your chance of winning is that low. If you're starting to get to that point where you're feeling confident about your work, chances are probably higher than that. It might even be 5%, 10% chance. I don't think that's too much of a stretch.
I think the important bit is to approach it as a business again. So approaching it as a business means that you need to make sure the other person who's on the other end of your application, that you make their life as easy as possible. And what this means is, getting the application to be, short and to include whatever needs to be included. Or, for example, you said about the press, whatever press success I had. This was all due to me getting press releases out from day one. And I've sent thousands of them. So, and some people responded. But this is all. This is the hard part. Making beautiful stuff is the enjoyable part.
I guess so, right? Like both parts are hard. Whereas, and I'm always a big proponent of, you got to do the business stuff. You got to have a nice portfolio website. You got to be sharing your work on whatever platform is appropriate, whether it's Instagram, sending press releases, sending out emails, making newsletter, like whatever that is. Because if you don't, no one's gonna like come around looking for. Very few times are people out looking for you. Like they to your point, if it's easy and it shows up and it's good, like sweet, you've passed most of the test already, right?
Yeah, and especially newspapers and magazines, they just want content,
Yeah.
So you're doing them a favor if you present them with good content. It's not a contest. It's just one, especially in the age we live in, where websites, they need to fill in with new stuff every day. They just want content, so send everything out. Yeah. But it never becomes easier. It doesn't matter, if you get published on Wired or whatever. The next month it's equally hard as the first one. So you just get more thick-skinned as you go, I guess.
I think that's a really interesting point because I think it's really relatable even to our industry. I think a lot of folks might imagine that I'm just sitting around and because I'm Elbers, like just gigs fall in my lap and I'm like, sure, I'll do it. It's really not the case. Every gig I have to do, even with people like I work with for a long time, is still like a bidding process I got to go through. I still got to hop on a bunch of calls. You got to do the song and dance. I know there's other people on the other end like bidding against me. But to your point, you get a bit of a thicker skin, I think. I've also learned to enjoy the song and dance a little bit. Like, there's a little bit of a dog and pony show involved in gigs that I really enjoy. And I think like we were joking, how much I love awkward silences now just because they're so fun. Like, it shakes it up a little bit if you're on a call and there's like an awkward silence. I love that. But it really is, and it becomes, and I always say that, the treating it like a business for me also equates to being efficient. Because I think that's the sticky part when people hear us saying like, oh, we'll send out 50 or 100, these submissions or emails or whatever it is. In their mind, that equals 50 to 100 hours, which, I mean, still you should do it. But at that point, like you're like, oh, well, I don't really have time. If I have 2 hours or 3 hours a day to do that, it takes me 4 months. And for me, that's a big thing. It's always like, how can I make this process more efficient? How can I make sure that I understand the value of this process, but I know where I can, chip away at the bricks a little bit and make the tightest package that I can send and, rinse and repeat in a way that maybe doesn't feel like a rinse and repeat on the viewer's perspective, but I know on my side, it's not like I'm starting every email from scratch or anything like that. Now we do have a question for you, my friend. When you start, and this is, we're jumping ahead, but let's do it. Let's go off the rails. Right now, sure. We're not even on the rails. I think, okay, people think we're on the rails. People think we're on the rails right now. Oh, we lost our rails half an hour before the call started. We were like rebooting computers, setting up zero tier. Like it was, there was no rails to begin with. But so Vasilis is asking, when you start thinking of an idea and you have Notch and TD available, are you thinking a lot about what platform you're going to use in terms of quality? And he's saying, I found myself saying I can do something in both softwares, but I always choose Notch because it's almost always better looking.
Yeah, I can see why Vasilis is saying that, and I have to agree for the most part. So if I get a gig and it's for 10 days away, I will definitely do stuff in Notch, because it's easier to impress people with. Let's be honest, And but if it's something purely artistic where I need to explore, whatever I have in mind deeper, I'd say it doesn't matter. It could be either, or whatever I'm feeling more confident with at that point, or it could be also, what I do for the larger installations I'm building for myself at the moment. I just do a proof of concept with Touch or whatever, and then I have plans to outsource different parts of the work to whoever is best at it. So I don't want to do everything myself, and if I can get to work with you because you are the best system designer and I get the chance to do that, I'll choose to do that, even if it means, cutting my whatever profit I have to half or less. I don't care, then it makes things easier. So definitely Notch is easier. Definitely Notch is easier to impress, actually. But yeah, I prefer Touch for the most part, to be honest.
And I think an interesting angle that I would think of it is that, and listen, I don't want to go down because it's easy for me to start talking and never stop talking, but I was doing the Notch podcast recently, Notch Showcast, I believe it's called, and we're talking about like what I think the future holds for our industry, and I really believe we are going to take a really similar trajectory to web development. And the idea that, I think when web started a long time ago, you basically like locked into a framework and you're like, I'm dying on this framework. And then it started to become this whole landscape of microservices, and interoperability really became like a huge thing. And I don't know if we're going to parallel like 100%, but the question is interesting because to me, it's almost moot. Because I can't imagine myself only using one of the tools on a project, right? Like, why would I limit myself to only using either Notch or either TouchDesigner or either Cables or either Unreal? Like, we're starting to get to that point where texture sharing is becoming so easy, OSC control commands back and forth becoming so easy, like NDI sent over the network. Like, there's so many easy ways to hook up all these apps. It's almost detrimental for me to only use one of them when instead I could take benefit from each of them for the things that they're good at, right? Like, for example, if I want to build like a really complicated state machine, like we're working on a project right now, and like, first time we looked at the PDF, we're like, oh man, this is going to be like real easy. And then we're on a call and we're like, oh my God, there's like 100 states and like 6 buttons and all the buttons change the states and the decision trees.
So true.
So true, right? And like, would I want to do that in Notch? Like, no, absolutely not. But in this project we're doing in TouchDesigner just because it's a client thing, but and we're not in charge of the content of it. But if we were in charge of the content, like, I'm pretty sure me and you would both agree, it's like, okay, well, let's do the content side in Notch. Let's do the little fancy animations, let's bring in the 3D models, get the nice rendering, drop those into Notch blocks and Touch, and then in Touch we build that huge decision tree process, build the state machine, build the logic, build the interaction with all the buttons and stuff like that. And then we get the best of both worlds, because why would I go and make a whole Notch application and try and build this like decision tree with the built-in JavaScript scripting, which I've never tried, but I'm sure it's fine, but it doesn't seem like it's really built for that kind of thing. And equally, I could go in Touch and try and make ray tracing and path tracing, all these things, but like, why stress myself out when I can just hit a couple buttons in Notch and have all those things? So I think it's an interesting question, and my answer gets blurred more and more as time goes on, where, to your point, like, I think we're starting to get out of the age of working alone, and if you are working alone, I think we're entering the age of like, you have to learn multiple platforms to really compete. Because if you only knew Touch, then somebody with minimal Notch experience will 100% make better content than you in Touch most of the time, unless you're like, if you're Vincent Jose and you just like whip up shaders like like a madman, then it can be hard to compete, right? So that's kind of where I take that.
at the same time, though, because I'm doing the exact opposite. So
Are you doing the opposite? Be careful, bro. If you're doing the opposite, be careful. Stradamus has made it known.
No, what I'm saying is I'm trying to keep a decent level on various platforms. But that is not because I want to do it on my own. It's exact opposite. So I try to figure out what's possible on each tool, so then I can ask for help to go to the next level. So there's no way of me reaching out the Vincent level in touch, or doing something like Louis Kyle White does in Notch. Absolutely no way. But I know that these guys exist, and I know that I can reach out if I need something, perhaps. And both these platforms, they have such amazing communities. It's everyone's there to reach, and everyone's kind. Even if they let you down, if they turn you away, they're very kind about it, and they suggest someone else. So collaboration is a big tool for that, and I'm very glad that Da is here on the chat. Because we've been having this weekly chats with him, and it's one of the most inspiring parts of my week with him. We come from very different places. He's a terrific, brilliant guy, and with very strong technical skills, and also highly skilled in conceptual stuff, but very different skills. And this back and forth, I think, makes us both better. And collaborations are the best part there is. The same with when we work together as well. It's
is it fun? Do I do a good job?
Yeah, sort of. You're good. You're good.
Wow.
No, man, you're the best. There's no one like you in terms of managing everything, and your skills as a project manager are out of this world. So
you're gonna make me blush, bro.
No, and I'm saying that I was a project manager, but managing up to hundreds of people, at the time. And if you were doing my job back then, you would be doing a better job than me. Let me tell you that.
Wow. Well, there you go. That's thank you, my friend. I appreciate the compliment. So I think this is an interesting time to start talking a little bit about that transition period. Like, so you had the open submission, then you started doing some really interesting works that started to involve a lot of technology. Like, I think Alone Together is a really interesting one that maybe we could talk about for a moment as a good bridge between that art kind of practice and then starting to touch into the technology kind of practice. And do you want to explain Alone Together a little bit before sharing your screen, or do you want to share your screen straight up? Tell me.
I'll explain it first, I think.
And also, do you have the chat open? Because we can throw a link into the chat for everyone to take a look.
For sure. Before everyone jumps away, let me say a few words, though, I think.
Yeah, please.
So yeah, as I said, when I started showing at the Regal Academy, I was still doing my other job, being a project manager in the construction business. So I immediately realized how unhappy I was with my other line of work, because for the first time I was doing something and I was happy. And for the first time, someone was paying me money and saying thank you to me. That has never happened before.
That's hot.
So yeah. So I was also expecting a baby at that point, and I said, "Fuck it, now it's now or never." And I had this project in mind for quite a few years, which is Alone Together, that I think I'm going to show, and it revolves around the idea of social isolation, which is highly
story of my life,
highly current these days. Yeah. So I knew I had something, I could base things upon, and that's when I started. So. With that said, let me share my screen.
Sure. Yeah. So if you turn on screen sharing on Skype.
Yep.
And then I'm going to go over to guest full. And then I got your camera off. So give me a second here just to get the screen in. Oh boy, auto. Tight. Okay, so hold on. Let me move me somewhere. I'm going to put me in the bottom right. Is that like appropriate?
Yeah, of course, appropriate.
Okay, cool. Okay, so I'm on screen, your screen's on screen, your face is not on screen at the moment.
It's cool, thank you.
Yeah.
So Yeah.
And,
so
and
the
I should
process,
say for people watching, the result looks deceptively simple.
does it?
I think so, and that's the magic. And I think this is where like there's like a magic of the art, Arthur C. Clarke situation going on here, because you look at it and it's like, oh, there's like a room lit up and it looks really nice, but the process when you explained to me, I was like, my God, why?
Yeah. So let me scroll down, and perhaps things will become more apparent. Let me do the full screen thing. Oh, maybe not. So what you're seeing here is, images, of course, and but the thing with those is that they are extremely high resolution. So each one of them is like 3 to 5 gigapixels.
And what's a gigapixel
wide.
for folks in the chat and myself who might not know what a gigapixel?
A gigapixel is a million pixels.
So this is like this is like 3 to 5 million pixels long.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
No, long and high. So it's a multiplication of that. But what this means is that this print can, this image can be printed at 5 to 10 meters at full resolution. So an example of that would be like, and why did I do that? Because I wanted to show the people within the individual windows, and I wanted people to see a massive print, but while at the same time being able to relate with the individual narratives going on within. So this is how, an estimation of how an individual window would look in real life when you're in front of the print. Don't know if you can see that clearly. I'm on 4K at the moment.
Yeah,
so
and I think that's a testament to how much resolution those gigapixels, that when you click to zoom in that much, like you can still clearly see the person inside the room.
Yeah, and I always make it so you cannot distinguish who it is or see any personal details. But so this process was done with basically stitching thousands of pictures together, and so it was a very long process. It took about 3 months for each image to come together, and I was taking these pictures through the course of a night. So I started at sunset and I ended at sunrise. So it was a very long and cathartic process for me as well. But I had no idea, that this would become successful. So it was a risk. Yeah. But,
And this one you've shown it quite a bit and was this the one that was in Wired as well?
Quite a few were in Wired and several other magazines. This is the most popular because it's the most Instagrammable. So it goes well with the square format of Instagram. So this has been quite popular. But I've done it all over the world, and the idea is to illustrate that loneliness is the same wherever you are. So it doesn't matter if you're in Miami, where we are in this case, or if you are in Hong Kong, which is this one. And that loneliness has the same effect on you, and that's why I try to keep the color always in the same tonal range, because I figure that color represents the feeling.
So hold on. So because I think it took me a while to realize the resolution we're talking about. Like, so if you zoom, so first everyone just take a look at like how small the windows are right now, and like they're small, you can't see anything. And then like Aristotle, just zoom into like one of them.
I cannot zoom. I have some crops because it's remember it's a massive file. It's like 100 gigabytes or something like that. So it doesn't
per image is 100 gigabytes.
So
okay, hold on. So scroll to one where you do have the crop, just because I want to see if we can make it like a real. Okay, so this one, right? So if you go back a picture, this is a crop from the last one.
Yeah, this is this window.
Okay, so people like to think about resolution we're talking here. So that tiny window, and then you go to the crop of it, and that's how much resolution there still is when you zoom in that far.
And to be honest, this is one of the first ones I did, so it's one of the lower resolution ones. At the end, it was 3 times as much. But also, this, seeing them through a monitor doesn't do them justice, because it's it's only 8-bit color and or whatever it is, you're doing, and so the tonal range is pretty compressed. But on paper, I print them all in the studio, and I get to fiddle with the settings as long as it takes, and so there are no black parts in this image, believe it or not. So every part, even this part over here, is full of detail. There's
no pure black.
So there's no pure black. No, it's full of detail. So it's an exercise in printing as well. And
so I have a couple questions for you. Well, actually, two of the same question. Then I have a question. Rob and Rajat are both asking, what was the camera setup that you're using, and maybe if you can talk a little bit about that stitching process.
For sure, yeah, gladly. I've done it with lots of cameras. I've ended up using mostly Sony A7s, A7R3, A7R2, etc.
What I'd call the Jesus camera. Yeah.
I've tried using a Hasselblad format as well, but it didn't work, to be honest, fancy, because these are nighttime shots. Remember, so you need to make it fast, and you need to make it. You need long lenses as well, which are very expensive in the medium format cameras. So the Sonys were pretty high quality, so each frame was 42 megapixels, and the tonal range was adequate. Not as good as a Hasselblad, but very good. But the process of ending up with such a huge resolution is stitching, basically. So each picture, is multiples of hundreds of pictures along and across and top to bottom. So you stitch them through automated processes, and then you do this multiple times through different times of the night. So by having this sequence in different times of the night, you can get to choose which lights to have and which lights you don't have. So, but this is, if you do it with one picture on top of each other, it lines up perfectly and it's fine. But if you have thousands of pictures and you try to do it and you try to overimpose them, it never does, because it's not a mathematically accurate process. It's the computer tries to approximate this, and especially at night shots, it's harder. So out of 3 months for every piece of work, 2 months were aligning things up and figuring out how the stitching worked. And every couple of hours the computer crashed because Photoshop is not designed to do this thing. And the file took 30 minutes to save and 30 minutes to open each time with NVMe drives.
You're a more patient man than I. I would have been just like, yeah, you know what? I'm like this. I'm doing the wrong work right now.
That's how I ended up hiring someone to help me.
Gotcha, got him.
I was getting myself mad, and you can only do so much, to be honest. If it takes so long. So that's it.
And for folks that want to see this is at aristotle.photography. I'll put the link into the chat for you. You guys can go take a deep dive in there, because not only does it not do justice on a screen, but you're also Skype screen sharing to me. Then I'm OBSing up to YouTube. So this is 4 justices removed, I put the link in the chat for y'all, so you can go take a look. Now, was this a real impetus to move into, because this sounds like it's a pretty technology intensive project, maybe not like coding or anything like that, but you're really pushing applications and systems on what they're really capable of. Did you find from here oh man, I've touched this tech stuff and it gives me a lot of possibilities, let me get into it? Or was there another thing that kind of brought you into the world?
I always enjoyed tech, since I was very young, so I had a thing with it. But tech is a medium, it's not a goal for me. It's something that I get along easily and I understand, and it helps me reach whatever goal I have. But once I started showing this, I presented myself as a photographer, which I wasn't, and I now see it clearly, but then I didn't. And so I was starting going at portfolio reviews and stuff like that, and some people told me, you shouldn't present this as photography, This is visual art. it's something else, because it's so heavily manipulated that if people judge it as photography, they see it as a failure. It's not, when people judge photography, they tend to ask you questions. Oh, is this Photoshop? Silly things like that. And it shouldn't be about that. This is art for you to enjoy, period. Whatever the medium was, it doesn't matter. So I understood that I wanted to make things massively big, to make them immersive. I wanted to create an environment that people get immersed in. And I quickly understood that you can only do so much with print. Okay, I did 10 footprints. Okay, how much bigger can I get, and how much more immersive I can get? So that's when I started thinking about doing installations and immersive media and exploring video and VR. And this, process gradually started for me. So started exploring After Effects because it was the easiest thing to do after Photoshop. Then I quickly realized I couldn't handle things like that. Then I started exploring Nuke, which led me to understand the benefits of a node-based workflow. And so yeah, one thing led to another, and I also got a few proposals to work on a few gigs, for bands and stuff, design the graphics, and I started looking for the best tool to do that, to do graphics for live shows. And I landed on Notch, believe it or not, first. And I took a job, and I had 1 month to become
the classic first gig.
I want
to bring you back on screen, by the way, instead of your screen share, because now we're chitty chatting. The classic first gig, yeah, you got 1 month. Like, are you a pro? And so that one was with Notch, that project, right?
That was with Notch, yeah. And
at the same time, can you talk about that one at all?
I shouldn't say, because I shouldn't say to people that was my first project.
Okay, yeah, okay. No, I dig it. No. I dig it. They'll never know, bro. They'll never know. And all of the clients watching are guessing, was it me? Like, they'll never know.
Yeah, and at the same time, I started developing my own ideas for the installations I told you about before. And so yeah, I started looking for people to collaborate with, to help me. And I quickly understood that these people, get paid a lot of money. Like people were asking me like $1,500 a day, and I was like,
"Hey, how was that me? Somebody else asking $1,500 a day? Yeah, everyone knows I'm the $1,500 a day guy, but I don't know if anyone. I want to know the other $1,500 a day guy."
No, that's cool. And the people are definitely worth what they're asking for. But the thing is that this meant that I could no longer afford making my art on my own. If I wanted to do this extremely massive, immersive stuff and what I have in mind. So I started seeing what the fuss is about, and so this was the goal, to be able to do my stuff on my own without paying that much outside, So.
And do you feel right now you're getting closer to that goal, or has that goal changed? Because I know previously we were saying now you're in that mindset of like, I'm learning all these tools so that I know what to ask for and I can, properly communicate. Does that mean there's been a shift in your mind process of I want to do everything alone with these tools to now I really want to collaborate, but then I guess I have to find funding somewhere else? Was that a change?
At the moment, we can build a very solid proof of concepts, let's say. And I know for a fact that out of the 5 things I want to do, the 3 of them, we could do it solely on our own over here. So things have changed massively. And, some of the things we can do are involved some, hardware things or some, I have a very close friend who's helping me out with something that requires very advanced optics, and mirrors and stuff like that. And he's a genius. And, I could never reach that level, nor I want to. So stuff like that. But with Touch, I feel confident that either I can do it or I have good friends that I can collaborate with.
Yeah.
So I'm extremely happy with that. And I never believed I would reach this point, to be honest.
Congrats, my friend. That's pretty awesome.
Thank you.
It feels really nice, I think, to especially for a lot of folks starting out, there is that really gray period of will I have solid ground somewhat eventually, or is it just nebulous the whole career? And I think one of the things a lot of people miss, and I think you found kind of naturally, is that idea that, you know, the network is more than just business opportunities. It's more than just who you hire and who hires you. But it really kind of becomes like, I hate to make it sound so simple, but it's like the emotional support group. It's the people around you who help you just stay a little bit grounded. You just talk a little bit on the side. Like, I know Matthew's a big and Matthew knows, like, every time I get angry at something, a lot of the time it's like a bug or just me forgetting how to do something. I go to Matthew and I'm just like typing in all caps, like, why isn't this working? Like, can you please just like look at this for like 10 seconds and tell me whether I'm dumb or whether it's a bug? And I think it can be really hard if you don't have that kind of group around you. You know, if you are really working alone, those moments don't have almost a pressure valve to, you know, if I couldn't like bother Matthew or, you know, bother Landon or Noah or anyone of like the friends in my kind of like group, the pressure just keeps building. I just keep getting angrier at why the thing isn't working, and then I eventually say like, yeah, like I'm out of here, like I'm going to the gym or something. Like then it gets cut off. So I think it's really great that like you start to build that, because I think a lot of people end up missing that. And for folks that do want to build that, listen, like, it's not like crazy hard. You do have to put yourself. It's like making friends when you're an adult, right? Like, people, you know what I'm talking about? It's hard to make friends as an adult.
For sure, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? But you gotta like put yourself out there a little bit. You know, like get on Discord, hop on the Facebook group, talk to people. And you know what? Actually, like you and Da, I mean, you guys don't have to go into like the bromance too deeply, but it's a really good example of like you guys met, started hopping on calls, talking to each other, and then you kind of like built that really like collaborative friendship.
Yeah.
You know?
It's fun, yeah. No, you were the one who introduced us actually for a project, and you know, we had a long chat for an hour about work and how we could collaborate on things.
Yeah.
And then when we were about to, you know, close Skype, I asked him, oh, by the way, you know, what sort of background do you have? And he told me, you know, my first degree is in music. I was like, music? Oh man, I'm so into modular synths at the moment. And he was like, his face lit up, you know. Like
yeah. I think that, you know, this is not throwing shade at people with modular synths, but anytime a modular synth owner can talk about the modular synth, the face lights up. You know, no shade, Dom, but I'm just saying it. I've seen it a few times.
Yeah, that's
and
funny.
Ben saying what bugs? I don't know of any.
Yeah,
no,
yeah. We just found one out
we
today.
We literally found one last night. We're gonna email you. Don't worry. Don't worry.
Email coming up.
Yeah. What was it? It was top to chop, right? Top to chop. For some reason,
above 600
resolution, like 5 orders of magnitude cook time. Don't worry, Ben. We'll hit you up, bro. Okay, so then, you know, like, because we do want to do like Notch and TouchDesigner work today and have a little bit of fun in that. And I think one of the interesting topics before we lead into that is talking a little bit about the tools, because you have, like, you know, you said you actually got on Notch first before TouchDesigner, then you got like into TouchDesigner. Now you're pretty deep in TouchDesigner. You know, you've kind of started to get some base foundation of like Unreal, because it's got some cool things you want to do. I feel like anyone who has some base foundation in Unreal at one point also messed around with Unity. Just, you know, because you either go Unity or Unreal, you kind of got to like touch both a little bit and see. Cables GL, which I think is a really interesting one that you've been kind of like...
love it.
Yeah, you've been getting pretty good at that one too.
I love it. So much fun.
So here's a challenge. And for folks at home that are watching, like, this isn't one of those like... This is closer to Eric Andre than it is to like... CNN with Skeletor. What's that guy's name? Skeletor? You know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm talking about?
Not really, but it's funny.
You don't know Skeletor on CNN? Somebody in the chat, what's Skeletor's name? Not Wolf Blitzer, the real Skeletor.
I'm Greek, dude.
Larry King. God.
Larry King, okay.
Larry King, Skeletor, bro, come on.
Okay, I know Larry King, okay,
yeah.
for sure.
Skeletor. Well, let's call it what it is. This is more Eric Andre. You have no idea what I'm about to ask. I have no idea what I'm about to ask.
Careful, go ahead.
And chat, if you have things you want to ask, like, put it in here. Make our lives a little easier. So you have, I got those tools. So you got Notch, Touch, Cables, Unreal. You got another tool in there? Got another tool in the pocket? Let's say After Effects. After Effects. You're pretty good at After Effects.
No, not really.
No, After Effects? Photoshop.
I want to learn Photoshop for sure, yeah. But I want to learn Houdini now.
Okay, so we got 6. Photoshop, Houdini, Notch, Touch, Unreal, Cables.
Yeah.
How do you use these together? Everything's got a place, right? What's the place? Give me the places of each one of these 6 tools for you in your mind.
I don't want people to think, for starters, that I'm a master of any sort in any of them. So I'm, as I said, I'm trying to reach a capable level on both tools, let's say.
Yeah.
I think I'm better in Touch at the moment than I am in any other one. But anyhow, I'll digress. So, yeah, Notes, as I said, quick, impressive, occasionally painful as well, for me at least, because getting deeper into Touch, I struggle sometimes to see the reasoning on how things are done within Notes. With Notes, you have to learn the tool. With Touch, you have to understand why things happen. And this makes me feel much more comfortable that once I achieve something, I can do it again, or I can do it better. Of course, there are Notes masters over there that they can take the software apart and put it back again, but that's not me.
Yeah.
So I treat it as a 3D software, basically. I treat it as Cinema 4D, let's say, and I make fun stuff out of it. Touch, it's everything. I don't know. Love it. I have. It's. I'm getting addicted. It's really, when.
Do we have to have an intervention? Do we got to do like one of those intervention episodes on you?
For sure, yeah. But when we had the championship going on, it was a painful time because we had to practice so much for these 2 weeks, and we were talking with Da and also on the Discord chat. Let's get this over with. I just want to spend a day without doing any touch work. But everyone, everyone did touch the next day. It's funny.
Yeah.
So and it's so open-ended that there's so much to learn over there. Anyhow, so cables.
Yeah, do cables. Cables is an interesting one. And do cables. Yeah, I'm on a reserve question. Go, keep going.
Cool. Go ahead. So cables I started learning this April, I think, but it was very quick to learn. They have a brilliant community as well. Not so much as in terms of people exchanging knowledge, but the people who made it are very giving, and they really try hard to help out people. So they answer everyone's questions very quickly. I've never seen any other software developer that sort. They're super easy to reach. It's still in beta, and it shows. So there's a few issues, and occasionally things don't play well on every browser, which
that's normal in web development, though. Come on, let's be real. It's Chrome versus the rest of the web.
It's normal, and it's not their fault. It's usually Safari going nuts, and it's I understand why that's the case. Apple is making everyone's life miserable. So, and maybe that's not a problem with the platform. Maybe that's a problem with me not having a web development background. Yeah. So I don't know what the limitations are, let's say, in terms of rendering content in real time on the web. But it's so much useful. It's so easy to learn, compared to learning pure JavaScript or all these other libraries that exist out there. So I highly recommend it. It shares some common ground with V4 or V4 or MaxMSP. If you're into that, you may find it easier. I wasn't, so I struggled a bit at first, but there's so much content out there for you to find help.
And I think we got 2 funny comments. Dylan saying Safari is the new Internet Explorer. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I like that. And Ben, who I see there, saying he's feeling triggered. I was going to say, Ben, if you haven't checked out cables, it might be an interesting thing, because Ben does come from that web background, web development background. So.
Oh, you're gonna love it. Oh, perhaps you find it limiting as well. If you
Oh,
If you
true.
know JavaScript like the back of your hand, you may find it limiting. I don't know.
Yeah.
But you can write your own JavaScript nodes over there.
Mm.
So it should be good.
Yeah. And for those that don't know, like Cables is fully in the web. So your editor runs in the browser. The patches, I think, compile down to what, WebGL or something like that. And it's like it's kind of like TouchDesigner in the web, but it's beta and it's newer. So I think you were telling me once, it's basically like you only have a few hardware connection options, some things you're missing, but it's that same feeling of working as like you're kind of working in TouchDesigner, but
yeah, definitely. And it
in the web.
A lot of the knowledge from Touch gets transferred over. Easier than transferring knowledge from Touch to Notch.
Oh, interesting.
I found it transferring knowledge to Cables, but that's me. I don't know. So yeah, what else is there?
Yeah, we got Unreal. You're super. You love Unreal now.
I think it's the future. I think Unreal and Blender are the future. I think.
Oh, Blender's in the mix too now. Blender's sick. Lots of respect to Blender.
Blender is coming on strong.
Yeah.
So.
And hold on, quick question. Because you're losing some bandwidth here. Are you still screen sharing with me?
No.
You're not screen sharing.
I shouldn't.
I see a screen. I see your mouse. I just saw a mouse. Maybe turn off the screen sharing, because then we'll get a little bit of of your bandwidth back. Yeah, there we go. Cool. Okay, thank you, my friend. I think the 4K Skype has some magical capabilities, but not pure magic. So I digress. So you're saying Unreal and Blender, the future.
Yeah, we all agree. I think that real time is the future. Real time rendering.
Hey, I'm fine. I'm happy with pre-rendered content. I love pre-rendered content. Someone's like, "Yo, do an install," and I'm like, "Can we pre-render everything?" And they're like, "Yeah," and I'm like,
yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
I know exactly.
Yeah. That's real talk. Everyone in the chat, that's real talk.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyhow, so yeah, real time is the future, and Blender does it best. Simple as that. Or not Blender, Unreal Engine does it best at the moment. That's for me, but it's hard.
And you're talking most in terms of output quality, right? Like it does it best, as in like the result is really like truly spectacular.
Yeah. The way it handles lights, reflections, the smart way it handles materials and textures and everything. It's fascinating. It's
we got a spicy comment in the chat.
Oh, that's
Ben is saying, who wants to try Touch Engine in Unreal? Aristotle's got a hand raised over here.
We were chatting with Deadmau5, and he told us there are a few things going on, but he was secretive about it. If Ben would care to tell us something.
Listen, if there's one thing I know, it's NDAs. Lips sealed over here. I know nothing. I hear nothing. I see nothing. Touch Engine in Unreal would be pretty hype, though. That's for sure. And Rajat asking, how do you add interactivity with pre-render content? Yo, interactivity is overrated. That's what I got to say. No, I'm just joking. I do it in layers. No, I know. I say it jokingly. And Dylan knows we were arguing about 60 FPS versus 30 FPS. I'll die on the 30 FPS hill, by the way. But I digress. I do it in layers. So you render different layers. You have your interactive elements like on top, but then everything else is pre-rendered. Like not 100% of the thing has to be generative. So that's. Listen, this could like really digress to a bad place, so I'm gonna stop myself there. Oh, Ben's mentioning it's in beta. People who are interested should email us. Ben, do you want them to email the support email, or do you got like another?
This is okay. I'm getting moody at the moment. I'm getting sensitive now.
You're getting sensitive.
I don't believe.
He doesn't believe it. Aristotle doesn't believe it.
TouchDesigner in Unreal is gonna be. Oh my god.
Run your touch patch inside of Unreal. Can you believe it?
Yeah,
I see the tears in your eyes. I see it.
Yeah, man.
Okay. Anyways, Ben will let us know in the chat where y'all should email. I think that's pretty hype. You heard it here first, folks. Don't forget the Interactive Immersive HQ, bringing you that sweet. What do you call it? What do you call it when you a leak? Is this like a wiki leak? Did we wiki leak it? We're gonna go with wiki leak it. We wiki leaked it. Okay, sorry. So you're saying Unreal, Blender, the future. The content is amazing, lighting. I think Unreal 5, the demo was like really pretty fantastic.
Yeah. But it's very hard for me, at least, So you have to build everything on your own. So the idea was that I would spend some time in August and September to reach a certain level. I haven't done that yet, so we are getting very nice rendering results. We have figured that sort of thing out, but the system design part on Unreal, it's a mess within me at the moment. So that's why touch engine within Unreal would be like would make it so much.
I guess from your point of view, like, is it that idea? Because this is always what turned me off of Unity. Is it felt like a game engine? It felt like everything was trying to make a game, and that felt like a real annoying paradigm shift. Like when we were talking about, for example, you were saying, transferring knowledge from touch to cables was really like easy for you. For me, I find touch to notch still pretty good because it's still a really content-centric workflow. Whereas I'm not gonna say I tried really hard, but the few times I did like touch Unreal or Unity and like try and like do some tutorials and a little thing, it immediately felt like this is a different paradigm for game development and kind of like a little bit of a clanky one at that. And I always found like, like if I'm just gonna hire somebody to do the thing I need to do. Do you find that same with Unreal, or because Unreal's been using a lot of the virtual productions lately? So have they kind of improved their workflow a little bit to more media-focused people, or is it still like this feels like I'm, jerry-rigging a game engine to do stuff?
For sure, they have. They have added DMX support for one, which is a game changer. But also, what was I going to say? The rise of mixed reality and XR and all of that means that there's a ton of material for people to get knowledge as well.
Oh, interesting.
So before, 6 months or a year before, there wasn't that much. You need to find a secret Discord channel and get information off of it. Whereas now everything is out there, and I think it's going to become the norm for a big part of our workflows in the next years.
Yeah, especially because like it's you hit a button and you render executables for like every platform, right? Like because it has that same cross-platform support that like Unity and those apps have.
Yeah, exactly. You hit the very important point at the moment, because the executable bit is great. Notch.js as well, but with Unreal you can do mobile platforms. You can do, I don't know what's going to happen with Apple at the moment, but
yeah. Well, oh boy, that's spicy. Listen, I don't want to like WikiLeak about that's how we get kicked off of YouTube, is talking about Unreal versus Apple. But I see both sides of this one, but I'm just going to leave it there.
Anyhow, I'm so excited, about touch integrations with Unreal. I can't say. And Blender is, I don't know Blender a lot. My knowledge of it is super brief. But my colleague here who works in the studio is very good with it. And so we're now working at one of our own projects. And we basically plan to do real-time content of a massive scene within Blender. I don't know if we're going to make it as planned. But the idea is to make a massive installation only using Blender and Touch through OSC. We haven't gotten the technical bits yet, so we're doing only the modeling and texturing bit at the moment. But it looks like it's working real time with Eve, super nice. So I don't know why not. And it's an open source software, so I expect that it will keep rising and rising and rising indefinitely.
It really feels like the VLC of open source creative tools.
Yeah.
Because there's lots of like open source tools. Some of them are junky. Some of them have like these crazy ideas. I'm looking at you, GIMP, with your, why just copy the Photoshop layout and everyone will use it. Like I don't know why you don't just copy the Photoshop layout. There's literally
copyright.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know, but I think Blender is a good example of that kind of tool that was open source, is so committed to open source, hasn't spoiled it. You know, like I remember there's an article about the VLC developer. People offered to pay that person like millions and millions of dollars to put one ad into the middle of the installer or something, and they're like, no, we're not doing it. And you know, and then Blender with all the recent UI changes that make it like, I think 2.8 was when they overhauled the UI, made it like really clean looking and nice. So in this install that you're working on, are you doing Blender as purely the modeling software and exporting stuff to Touch, or is it actually like running in parallel?
We're hoping for it to be the real-time rendering engine, to be honest.
Oh, interesting.
I don't know. I don't want to overpromise here, but so far it sort of works. So, but again, you know, I don't know about it. But if not, we can always go back to Unreal. I know for sure it's going to run very smoothly over there.
Yeah.
But it might be too big a model for Notch, but perhaps we should try that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have a question from David who's asking, any thoughts on Rhino plus Grasshopper? Have you touched those coming especially from a... Because those are pretty... I don't know if they're big in civil engineering, but you know, the fancy architects, love that game.
I secretly love them, but I'm too afraid to touch them.
I see.
Because I follow all the forums and the Facebook groups and the whatever content on Grasshopper there is, I follow. I love it, but I just have enough on my plate at the moment. But I'd love to get that.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever actually. I think I've seen one screenshot. I think Dave and Gabe are really into Rhino and Grasshopper. I think Dave and Gabe have talked to me about Grasshopper and Rhino. So I think we're at a good, we talked about a lot of stuff. I think getting our hands dirty would be pretty fun. Folks in the chat, if you do have any kind of more discussion topic questions, by all means, put them in the chat. Like, what do you want me to say to you guys? Put them in the chat. But we had a couple of things that we were looking to kind of do live, which would be fun. One of them was talking a little bit about this kind of kinetic light installation / concept / toolkit almost that you're kind of building between TouchDesigner and Notch. I do have a question though, and you can say no if you want. Can you show people like a 5-minute demo of cables?
5 minutes?
Not, listen, I'm not saying like open and build something, but like, some of the patches that you've already built, like, can you open them and like show that it does stuff and then like look at the network? Because listen, folks in the chat might think I'm like super hot on new tools. I hate learning new tools. Let's be real. I like the tools I know, and then I try to make money with the tools that I know. And I remember the first time you're like, yo, I want to try this cables GL thing. I did the exact same thing to you that I think I did to Josue about Notch. I was like, cool, have fun. Let me know when it's done. And then you started showing me stuff, and I was like, hey, wait a second. Like, this is really interesting. Like, there's something cool here.
Yeah.
So I think that's why I was like, it would be cool if it's easy for you to show a couple patches you made. You don't have to go like too deep into it. I just think it's a really fun tool, and some of the stuff you made is cool.
Yeah. So the way I got to learn it, I didn't have a client project to learn it on. So I was last 2 years actually. I was doing an MA at Fine Art Digital at UAL in London. So when COVID hit, we were running out of options for our summer show. So I suggested, somewhat foolishly perhaps, to take on the job of making spaces for everyone to show their work, and cables made sense. So that's how I got into it mostly.
So, did you share your screen on Skype? Let me know, and I'll put us on screen. And also, we do have an interesting question here. Random Process is asking, learn what first, Touch or Notch? You got 30 second answer, and I'll give my 30-second answer. That's it.
I need to rebound with a question.
Answer a question with a question.
Do you have any gigs going on, or just learning in order to get gigs eventually?
Okay, so that's, if Random Process answers that one, you get another 30 seconds. I'm going to say Touch first.
If you have a gig to do in 2 weeks, run to Notch.
Okay, that's true. I guess that's true. But I would say, I'm assuming there's no gig. I'm assuming it's like learning, pure learning.
Pure learning. Touch,
I think touch first. Because touch will, like to your 100%. Point, touch will really make you learn fundamental knowledge about 3D, about channel processing, a little bit of Python scripting, like texture. You're going to really learn these key techniques. And then when you go to Notch, you kind of have to do a little bit like what Aristotle was saying, like you kind of have to black box some of that stuff because you can't touch everything. But I think if you come from Notch first, it's kind of like asking somebody, should you learn Houdini or C4D first, right? I think that's a perfect comparison, I think, right?
That's exactly.
Should you learn C4D first or Houdini? Well, it depends. Like if you really want to get like super deep, learn Houdini, then Notch will be really easy to like mess around for quick content. But if you learn C4D first, you haven't really learned like that much that's going to help you in Notch.
I think I read it on a thread somewhere where people were drawing comparisons between Cinema 4D and Houdini, and I think the same applies with Touch and Notch. So this person said that with C4D you learn how to make a pot, how to build something. Yeah. With Houdini or TouchDesigner for that matter, you learn how to build a machine that makes pots.
Oh yeah.
You see the difference there. So you need to decompose it fully and to make the tool that makes other tools. So that for me that's invaluable. It may be a pain 99% of the time, but it makes it worth it in the end because you really get to learn things. At least in the way I think. Some people may be different.
No, I can vibe on that. I agree.
Okay, sharing my screen.
Yeah, hit it, and I'll keep you on screen this time because it's strange if I'm the only face on screen.
Sure, let me see.
Okay, hold on. Guest full. And then let me turn you back on. What part of the cable screen is important? Top left, bottom left, top right, bottom right?
Whichever, I don't mind.
Because I got to put us somewhere. I'm going to put me top left, and I'll put you bottom right. And let's hope that works.
Okay.
And for folks that don't know, cables.gl is the web address to use cables.gl. I'll put it in the chat, just in case. I'm going to put it in the chat just in case. Listen, I'm not like...
And there's a ton of stuff on YouTube as well.
Ton of stuff on YouTube. They have pretty good tutorials, don't they?
Yeah, pretty good. Not a ton of stuff in comparison to Touch, of course, but it's enough stuff to get you going.
Okay, so show us a couple little cool little doodads, because you got a bunch of cool little stuff going on.
Oh yeah, I haven't touched this in 2 months, as you see. So there's with cables, there's always the risk that they may have changed something and things may not run smoothly.
It is still in beta, like you were saying. Yeah.
Bear with me if that happens. So this is massive. It has megabytes and megabytes of textures inside. It still runs fine. There's also sound.
It probably runs fine for you. The Skype screen sharing is not like the best screen sharing. It's a bit like a little bit laggy.
It's no problem. It might be better for the sound not to be on.
Yeah, please. Yeah, because they wouldn't hear it anyways. So what do we got here?
Yeah, every one of my fellow students, had to design the space for exhibiting their work. So by no means I take credit at the moment for what you see in terms of artistic concept or whatever. So over here we see the space, and as you scroll the wheel, you get moved towards the main screen, and I've made it so the more you scroll, the camera rotates towards the particular subject. So, and it's also bouncing. So if you don't do it all the way, it goes back.
Oh yeah. And so for folks that a little bit of context, like this is the thing you were talking about earlier, where you were saying you kind of volunteered to help make those virtual gallery spaces. So the idea was that because at the end of the MFA, like COVID hit and people couldn't just have like the gallery open house or whatever is the normal thing for fine art to happen. You were thinking was like, we can use cables, make these kind of virtual galleries that can run in the browser, run on all the devices, etc. Yeah. Okay. So this is like one of the examples that you were like working with another artist to display their artwork inside of here.
Sure. And once you reach the end wall, you hop on a YouTube channel. You can go back, but might as well show you something else.
And actually, do you mind opening that in the editor real quick, just so folks? So that whole 3D environment, the controls, your mouse, like all that was handled by Cables GL in the browser. There's no weird like side application running or anything. Nothing. And this is the Cables editor, which it kind of is like TouchDesigner sideways. TouchDesigner rotated 90 degrees. Which actually, to your point, is closer to like Max. It's Max MSP /PD /V4, right? It's more like that.
I was doing a V4 quick intro workshop a few months ago, and they asked if anyone has any V4 knowledge, and I said I know some of Cables, and they were pretty offended.
Wow, geez, really? That's awesome. Classic, classic.
Not really, they said they don't have really that much in common, but that's what I keep hearing. Yeah. So anyhow, so you always start with a main loop. It's like the, like in nodes, you start with the central node. And you go along. It took me a few days to understand rendering to textures and how this sort of thing works. So it's I don't know. I don't want to complicate things for people now.
No, it just looks cool though. Like they can see that it really is similar to Notch and Touch in that visual development. They got lots of pre-built nodes. Yeah. You were saying like if you know JavaScript, you can make your own nodes. And is it similar? Like if you click on a node, is it familiar to Touch, where it's like you click on a node, it's got a bunch of parameters, that kind of vibe?
Yeah, it's over here on the right. So these are the shortcuts. So this is a way to get parameters exposed to other places. So that's why this doesn't have anything. But if we go on the material node here, we have all these different parameters you can choose. And here you plug in the maps, which can get automatically converted or downsized. So it's really impressive what these people have done.
Definitely.
On the web.
Yeah, this is the web, people. This is like, no software needed, no nothing. You just like go to the site.
This is free. Like, come on. What are these guys on? It's brilliant. So yeah, I can't recommend it enough. If only just to some fun time, and who knows, it may be something for you to experiment and to make some money out of, I guess.
Ben's asking, FPS limit says 25. Did you hard code that? Is that hard coded?
I don't remember, to be honest. But this was a super heavy patch. Like I don't know, it may have 100 megabytes of textures on, because these were photogrammetry textures inside.
Oh, interesting. Like live, so not like pre-rendered or anything like that. Not like you didn't just get a mesh of it.
No. So it was an exercise in streamlining things, and I wasn't very successful. Okay, that's another space. Over here, you just click this and you get remove its wall. So it's simple stuff, but the rendering quality is pretty good, isn't it?
Not bad at all.
But little trick here. So what you see here is baked textures.
Oh, pre-baked lighting. Oh, interesting. That's a good trick. I've actually heard a lot of people say that it's a really good trick to do with TouchDesigner, especially if you're using Substance Designer, or even getting some of those.
And Notch as well.
Yeah, to pre-bake the lighting in Substance Painter. I know Jarrett was teaching this at a workshop once. You bring everything in, you set up the light, pre-bake the texture with the lighting, bring it over to Touch. All of a sudden, like bam, this looks way better.
Yeah.
And so, what does this one look like behind the scenes?
Yeah, sure. And this is running at 4K now on my monitor.
That's pretty good.
Every software has its own mouse button.
Seriously, people, come on. Help a brother out here. Just like agree upon.
I'm with Touch on that one. I think it has the best.
I'm with Touch on it because that's what I'm used to. Everyone else, like, come on now. Join the ranks.
it makes so much sense to use the left mouse button to, pan across. It's so much easier. It's pretty much the same thing. You always have a sequence where you plug things one after the other. So, and you render things to a texture where you just combine them together at the end. Here you can have anti-aliasing, have added a vignette.
Oh, yeah.
So if you see here, you can do all sorts of, layer effects and stuff like that. This is the final step. And over here you have the full screen rectangle, which gets basically rendered on the screen. And here we have, you can have also folders where you go inside and have different
little sub patches,
sort of like a base component. This simple stuff really. It's
very cool. I highly recommend people check it out, man. It's a cool one.
Yeah. And I can only expect this will get a lot better as well. So they're actively developing it very hard, and you can get interactive stuff with HTML, with Ajax, JSON, CSS, all these sorts of web tools that I don't know much about, but I want to learn more.
It feels like, because Node-RED is like the logic and kind of service-based node building tool, and this feels really like targeted for graphics, which is nice. I'll
tell you what, if we can use this to make control panels for installations,
it could. I don't see why not, right? Like you get some interactions. Does it spit out OSC and stuff like that? Can it spit out?
OSC, I don't think so. I think it does MIDI at the moment.
MIDI. I'm just gonna shake my damn head.
I'm not sure. I don't know.
I'm sure Ben could find Ben Benjamin up in here could find a way to like rig this bad boy together. But I digress. So thank you for showing that. I think that's really cool, folks. Cables.gl. It's pretty hype tool. I think it's up and coming. You're enjoying it a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
So should we dive into a little bit of touch and notch here? Should we talk about this some stuff we got going on?
Yes,
some little And David saying, I love Node-RED. Thoughts on Hydra? I don't even know what Hydra is. What is Hydra? David, tell us what Hydra is, my friend. And in the meantime, we'll get like Notch and Touch going up in here. Aristotle, are you like still with me, bro?
Yeah,
because you're just like frozen smiling, like you're waiting for me to say something.
No, I thought you were waiting for the person to get back on us on the.
Oh yeah, I mean they can get back to us. We can by the time we open Notch, by the time we open like Touch, get our projects going.
Okay, I've got everything open. I don't know if it shows or if I said only the browser.
Oh no, yeah, I only see the browser still. That's why I was confused. I was like, Aristotle, bro, what are you waiting for? It's all good. Yeah. Oh, so Ben's saying WebSockets to Node.js server using Node OSC. That's how you could use probably cables as an interface. And David's saying Hydra is a live coded WebGL app. So that could be interesting. Worth checking out. And I'm just waiting for, there's your screen share. Okay, now I see Touch.
Yep. Nice and empty.
Yeah.
So
talk a little bit about what we're doing here. What are we doing here?
So yeah, ever since I started getting more into touch and stuff, I always wanted to do a previous tool for kinetic lights because they're cool.
Yeah.
Really? Yeah. And not many of us get the chance to play with them in real life.
Because they're also expensive. They're not cheap.
Hugely expensive, yeah. In the hundreds of thousands for anyone not knowing.
Unless you get those. Didn't we find some really like cheap Chinese DMX winches?
Yeah, but you need to pay more on
safety not included.
Insurance.
Yeah, I was gonna say safety not included. Like just off balance by insurance cost.
Listen, they may be the best. I don't know. I haven't tried either.
Yeah.
Also, the expensive ones might be horrible as well. I have no idea. I'm curious about this sort of thing. So, but still, they look cool, and why not build them?
Yeah.
And with Touch, without any proper GLSL skills, I could not do a quality render with multiple lights on, and bouncing in all directions, stuff like that. So I always wanted to try this in Notch, and you remember us discussing this for quite a while now. So now finally, Notch arrays are here, exposable arrays,
Yes.
and so that's a big thing.
The savior.
Yeah, because so far there hasn't been a way to get a lot of channels into Notch easily, at least. I don't know, and now it could get better even, but
it's on the right track. Yeah, it's on the right track for sure. It's on the right track. I wish they would do the reverse exposed arrays. That would be super sick too.
Yeah,
I'm gonna put in my RFE for reversible exposable arrays.
I hope we're going there, because that literally makes the tool so much useful. And whatever we get to build today, I'm 100% sure you can build on Notch on its own, but I'm not comfortable with it so that much to do stuff I can do with Touch. So I think that if we set up the scene in Touch and get it transferred over to Notch with an exposable array, we should get the result.
And then basically render on that side, and if we want, send it back to Touch for for general app building purposes.
Or use Notch if we don't mind the overlay, because I only have the base license at the moment. So what do you think? Should we set up a grid with a bunch of balls?
Yeah, I guess there's a couple ways we can approach it. We set up the grid with a bunch of balls, and then we take those positions. So eventually we'll get to the state of doing like SOP to chop, exposable array, all that stuff. Or in this case, whether we notch top it or just OSC it over. No, I guess no, we have to use exposable array, right? Because otherwise the OSC nodes give us a different structure of building it in. I wish they had an OSC array. Yeah, that would be hype.
But we could try exporting a CSV.
Oh yeah, we could try exporting CSV.
Because haven't tried it though, but supposedly both Touch can export a live CSV table and Notch can read it. So maybe slower, I guess, but it could work. So,
and I guess the alternative would be to have the array set up in Notch, so like cloning to the grid set up in Notch, and then we would send over like a height map or something to just control the array.
Yeah. As a previous thing. Yeah, for sure.
Okay. So I guess what do you feel like? You pick. I'm leaving. You pick or chat pick. Yo, chat pick. Let's see. Is chat? Are you here? Are you here?
If we have a Notch guru with us and he's willing to share the knowledge, I'm all for it.
Yeah, because we were, listen, let's be real here. We were trying to zero tier this morning to get my Builder Pro license. Because this is, we're
being that honest, eh?
I'm always honest.
Yeah. Do that.
I think. I don't know. There was a long pause in there, I think. But, actually, and going up on our YouTube on Monday is a cool video about using the remote editing capability, remote network editing from Notch into your Notch blocks.
Oh, yes.
That is really cool. Because that's what we were trying to do earlier, was have my Notch dongle license Aristotle's machine so that then we could Notch top. So we get the best of both worlds. Basically, we set up a Notch top, use exposable arrays, but also be able to just live edit in Notch. While I'm digressing and rambling, Aristotle's actually working, which is like a good combination we got going on here. Okay, so you made the grid. We got the channel data out of it. You're setting up like the little kind of pseudo previs in Touch. So now you're gonna want to XYZ assign those.
Sorry. Yeah, so once we know everything is on the right place.
You know what? Actually, I'm gonna like chime in here. This is something I started doing recently, which I don't know why I didn't do sooner. Don't make the sphere smaller. make the grid bigger. So set all the sphere radiuses back to 1. And I think this, you know what, this came more into my brain after bullet physics came into touch, is this idea that things start to get weird at extremes. So if we just leave the grid at 1 and 1 size and then make all of our spheres like 0.001, not that we were going that small in this case, but I think it does start introducing, like, at least in bullet physics, they say don't do that. Like, don't make things that are super giant or super small because they just get like weird in the physics simulation. But also, I just find like why are we? I mean, it's just as easy to make the grid bigger. So why are we going into these crazy decimal numbers? You know what I'm talking
about? In terms of lighting, does it work in the same way? Like in terms of shaders, like on Notch, we're gonna use voxel cone lighting, which is gonna help us with reflections and stuff like that. Is it going to be the same or more expensive? We have a bigger space with.
I'm gonna guess it's gonna be the same. That is a pure guess. Like, that's using the term guess very accurately. You know, like, I'm guessing.
We keep being honest. That's good.
Oh, Florent, my friend, how you doing, bro? Welcome. Thank you. Okay, cool. So we got that set up. So and now we got a little pre-visi thing. So now we want to start getting over to Notch. And I mean, the patch is going to be pretty quick if we just export the DLL. It's not going to be like, you know, if we're using exposable array plus a DLL, we have to sit there and wait like minutes for the shader to compile. So I say let's use exposable array because then we can use the clone. It's going to be a lot easier. Okay, so on this side here, I guess the process is going to be, we're going to need an exposable array. Oh, hold on, I got to move our cameras because now we're covering the little node builder situation.
We need a clone to transform array.
Yeah.
And an exposable array. But perhaps we should set it up with a cloner first so we can...
like pre-visit before we do it? Yeah.
Yeah.
And folks who haven't done this exposable array in Notch/TouchDesigner, check out our other YouTube videos. I think we got a couple that are just like introing it. Super, super cool. Super cool. It's basic. I mean, it's basically lets you do the thing you do with instancing and touch. You can now do cross touch to Notch. Super hype.
I think we should set a space first.
Oh yeah, you build a room, right? Yeah, that's a good idea. Because then we're gonna get the lights and doing stuff. Yeah. Yeah, you know what, bro. You know. Come on, you're the artist here.
So maybe
I'm just the you know the emoji with the $sign in his eyes and his mouth is open and his tongue is also a $sign. Do you know that one? That's just me. That's like accurate me.
So how big was our grid over there? 23 by 23.
23 by 23.
That's right. It's big enough, impressive. Tell you what, I'm gonna use a null here.
Oh, that's high level Notch development. That's high level Notch development using nulls. And the point of the null, so this null is a little bit different than our null. Because for folks that are trying to make the comparison, this is more like the null comp than the null tops and chops. Because when we think about nulls, we think about like null chop, null sop, and those don't do anything. They're just literally like placeholders. Whereas this has the functionality that a null comp would have, which is more of the hierarchy of transformation. So the reason like you're doing this is because you want to have different elements that are going to have, how do I say this? Transforms related to each other, but then your null is going to let you move all of them relatively to each other.
Correct.
So it's, you know, and a good way to think about it is it's as if you put a bunch of geocomps inside of another geocomp, and then you want to move all of them, so you just hit the parent geocomp and you move its transforms around. This is like the same concept in Notch. When you put the null, then you have stuff under it, the transforms, you know, go from the top down to the bottom options as well.
Mm-hmm. Tell you what though, I don't feel confident with using 23.
Why? What's wrong with 23?
I don't know, you know, I need to get the light pretty high up in terms of
Okay, go back. Listen, we don't have like a ton of time to like reinvent the wheel. So let's go back to one. We'll roll it back. It's all good. Let's make something quick. Let's talk about fun stuff. And as Ben's saying, parent to transforms. Yeah, that's a good way of explaining it, Ben. Thank you. Parent to transforms. Oh, and also, Ben, maybe you can tell us a little bit more. I saw in the experimental release notes, we have a new 3D viewer coming out. Yeah, and maybe Ben can tell us a little, Ben can maybe WikiLeaks us some more info about the new 3D viewer. I only read the notes, so I don't know what it looks like. And let's be real, when I say I read them, it's very similar to when I say I guess things. So it's a bit light for sure. And as quickly as possible is usually a good, suffix. Suffix to both of those. Okay, hold on. Now I'm moving you top right, and I'm coming after you.
Yeah, I hope you don't mind me doing things.
No, this looks good. So you're building a room. I think this is an underrated thing to do for pre-res. I've seen so many pre-vis where the thing's like floating in black space, and having a room, like the architecture people, you can't even find an architecture pre-vis without the people in it.
Yeah.
That's how common it is in architecture. You got the flat people, the shadow people, like the silhouette. That's the word, not shadow people. The silhouette gives it a sense of scale, makes it look cool. And you had made some actually for the championship. You had a nice previs, I think. Didn't you have the one where the person was you had the silhouette, and then you were drawing the position of the silhouette for the interaction of the thing, so it actually looked like the previs interaction was happening.
All right. I'm all about
I think it's a smart thing.
This is our space, yeah.
Rajat's asking, are we getting a previs workshop on the HQ Pro?
That'd be good.
I don't see why not. Let me tell you right now. Let me WikiLeaks.
Okay. Shall we put some materials then? Maybe some concrete?
That'd be good. Yeah, get it.
That concrete, it says here.
I forget what I was going to say. The pristine rendering one is close because Matthew talks a lot about like the high level rendering controls and stuff like that, and post processing. Previs will probably do. I don't think it's on the immediate horizon. Because I think what was the. This is a little bit of like a hot scoop, I guess. Next workshop I think is going to be remote production and virtual broadcast stuff. So that one should be really nice. I feel like I really hyped up what I was about to say, and then kind of just like I fizzled it out real hard at the end there in terms of the energy. Ben saying so this is the new 3D viewer stuff is new controls for viewers, give you options for your pivot point, let you have camera centric mode or an Unreal type scene navigation mode. Also new outline shader for selected geometry instead of making everything all green or yellow. Mm-hmm. That's a pretty good one.
There you go. Okay, it's pretty much the same thing with the mapping, I think. Anyhow.
Cool. Next step is, I guess, do we want to make a template of the grid before we expose it?
Let's give a clone a try. So,
let's set it up, and then we'll expose and do that stuff.
The size of the bolts and everything. So. Okay, so we're going to use
the grid mode.
3D grid, just one on the Z, and shall we go 10 by 10?
10 by 10 sounds pretty good. Rajant's asking, would love to see a roadmap if there's one for the HQ Pro workshops and events. That's tough. I think we try to share what we know for certain, and a lot of the time we're just trying to stay open to the world around us and what we can react to and respond to, and based on stuff we're seeing and hearing. So it's a little bit of mix.
Okay, let's get
Do you want to make the little stick pipes for them? Not the pipes, the winches, I should say. The stick pipes. That's how you know we're like. That's how you know we're getting close to the end of the stream. Is I'm calling things stick pipes. Yo, let's get those stick pipes in this render.
Okay, so maybe yeah,
Yeah, because I guess we just use the same cloner.
Yeah. What is the cylinder?
Listen, people, if you've been watching the stream for more than 20 minutes, listen, this is serious. This is serious. No, hold on, I'm serious. This is a serious conversation I'm having with my viewers in the chat. If you've been here for more than 20 minutes and you haven't drank any water, you need to go drink some water. You need to hydrate. Okay? You gotta hydrate yourself. Drink some water. I've like almost drank this whole thing of water and I'm still like thirsty.
Okay, how about some ambient occlusion?
Yeah, we're definitely getting close to the end of the stream here. Hydro homies is the best. I didn't listen. I don't want to because I don't know. I've heard there's crazy things on like the Reddits and stuff, so I try not to like suggest. But Hydro homies, the subreddit is hilarious. It's basically memes about drinking water. It's actually the funniest, one of the funniest subreddits I've ever seen. Flo, yeah, beer is okay. I guess it's like part water. Everything comes from water, I guess. You know, at a certain point, so.
Are we really getting closer to the end?
We got about 20 minutes. We got 20 minutes.
Huh?
Is it? You know, we're past the 3/4 mark, I think, if my math is correct.
It's the same. It's gonna be fun. Look at this. We got some cool lighting
on here. Oh, you put a bounding. Oh, okay, cone lighting, and they put a bounding box on. Oh, yeah, interesting. Okay, cool. That bounding box is surprisingly powerful. To the amount of things you can plug it into is very interesting.
Yeah. So, shall we? I don't know. What do you want to do? Get the texture in from Touch, or do you want to just set up the exposable array and see what happens?
That's a tricky one. It's starting to look pretty good. It's starting to look interesting for sure. Oh, are we off? Are the stick pipes off center?
Yeah.
That's all good. Let's do exposable arrays. Let's do it.
That's it. Okay. So for exposable arrays, we need to get a video. What's it? Video in source or video loading?
Wait, for exposable arrays?
Yeah, we need to somehow expose the video parameter for the. We want to share textures as well, no?
Oh yeah. Oh, okay, you want to do it all at once. You want to just like expose it all. Yeah, so it's video loader is the way. Annoyingly, video in source is literally only for like cameras, and then video loader if you go to the video property and you expose it, then in Touch it shows up as your texture situation.
Okay, so I'll do one that says color. The English way.
Yeah, hey, well, you mean the proper way? Come on, the proper way. The proper way.
Yeah.
If you don't spell color with a U.
We're using notes.
Yeah. What are you guys doing? And actually, Ben's saying I haven't seen that bounding box. Looks nice. I think it's really cool because I've seen it used on even some of the fluid effectors, and you can use it with like cloth sims and stuff, like a lot of the particles and cloth sims to contain different forces and stuff, which I think I saw, which is really interesting. Okay, so you just plugged in the color to the material. Good idea.
It's funny that we do it here without testing it first, but
this is the real way development is done. You just like you go real far and hope it like works.
Okay, so I need to delete that then and get those.
And Luca saying using Spout. We could use Spout. The tricky thing though is because we want to use exposable arrays. We can't we have to have it integrated into a notch block.
Yeah.
I wish a really RFE OSC array would be sick.
Have to use that chop data.
Yeah. Okay, so I think are we about ready to export and just give it a shot and see what we get? How many? Exposable array. Yeah. So we need what 100 number of transforms,
100.
And then see, I'm still undecided. I don't like exposing the number of transforms. Have you found it to be have you found it to work?
Yeah. Last time I exposed it, actually, it didn't work. Yeah, you're right.
I haven't found it to be. I don't think you're supposed to. I think it's like a set it at max and like. Thanks.
Yeah.
So transform data, the next one down. We don't need this one because this one's the mode is always going to be the same. Yeah, that's the one we want to do. The transform data.
Any material properties, perhaps? Yeah, let's do emissiveness.
I'm going to leave this to the artist.
What else? Color we get. Specularity.
Oh, you're doing the smart thing. You're just exposing a ton of stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, good idea. This is the real. If you haven't worked with,
might expose the camera as well, to be honest.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, exposable camera. Or do you think just exposing the camera's transform? Just do transform probably easier. Yeah.
So
and for folks who haven't used touch and notch combo before, the really cool thing is everything that you see. Aristotle's like doing this little like checkbox, question mark, checkbox, okay. When we go to load this at notch block, all of those get automatically custom parameters made inside of touch, and then we're like controlling this stuff in real time, which is super hype. And I think it probably is the linchpin. It's the thing that holds this integration together. If there was no exposable properties, I feel like people would be much less excited about it.
Okay, I think that's enough. Okay, let's think now. What else is there?
We got color coming in. Did we do the height? No, because is the height? We're gonna do the height from the exposable array, right?
Yeah, like so it should be 0.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, we're gonna get the grid positions and.
Okay, so we'll do it from that way.
Do it from there, but the lighting we cannot change from there, so might as well expose some of the stuff from here.
True.
I'll tell you what, I decreased the voxel resolution so we get some
decent frame rate. Yeah.
Decent frame rate, yeah. That. Sorry, I'm doing things slow.
No, bro, never feel rushed. This is a safe place.
Safe haven. Okay, let's say that's enough. I'll do the brightness as well.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's general safety.
So I may have to do. Yeah, I'll do this one. I think we need to play with this one as well.
And people who've never seen this are going to lose their mind right now at how all these exposed parameters automatically like do their thing. It's very sick. Okay, so now let's dump this. Let's get her out of here.
Okay, let's do a new folder.
And as we are, let me just say, as we are getting close to the end of the session, if you got questions in the chat, you know, time is ticking for those questions to come in. You best be asking them now, is what I'm saying. And David's asking, yeah, what was that export? David, actually, I can put a quick link because we do have a video on, oh, I just messed up all my screen layout. One sec. We have a video on our YouTube where I talk about just the exposing properties from Notch into TouchDesigner. If I didn't mess up my whole screen layout, it would probably be in the chat already. But it'll be in the chat in a second, I'll tell you that much. Try this one. And Aristotle, you're in the... Ben's asking, where's the chat at? You're in the chat, Ben. This is the chat. I don't know if that's a trick question. This is the chat, though. You're in the chat. That's where... I think that's the video, David. Check that one out. Okay, so you just did the... Hold on, I got to move us because now we're in touch, so the parameters are in a different place. Hold on, I'm moving us bottom left now. Give me a sec. Okay. Okay, so, yo, that's sick. So just show them all the parameters. So all the things that you went through and click the question mark and then hit that little checkbox and hit OK. Like the drop down, yo, show them the drop down because the drop down, I mean, this automatically created. You know, you didn't create those drop downs. Boom, look at that. That one I think is actually a buggy, but it's fine. Yeah, look, this one automatic is perfect.
Yeah, and you can also, you know, bind them and stuff.
That's hype. That's hype. Okay.
Okay, shall we create some constants for the rest of the channels?
So how many channels do we have right now? Do we have 100? We got the right number of channels coming out of the SOP2 chop?
Yep.
Cool. Okay, so then and
is it the scale?
Yeah, it's R. I don't even think it's not named. It's just by order. So it's RXYZ, SXYZ. And while you're doing that, I'll explain for folks who, if you've never done the exposable arrays, you have to send a full transform set of data for each sample. So you can't just send TXTYTZ and like call it a day. You got to do the TXTYTZ, rotation XYZ, and then scale XYZ. And then what I always say is set your scale XYZs to be 1 in the constant chop. Because there's no real reason that we're going to want to scale down to 0 for most cases, unless you're going to do like some really advanced stuff. But then, so like if Aristotle, if you go back to the constant.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
And then set the SX, SY, SZ to be 1.
Yeah, of course.
And then usually what I do is, so Aristotle's doing a nice trick where he's merging it in, and the merge is automatically, you know, stretching out that one sample. I like to be a bit more explicit. So in the channel parameters of the constant, if you go up there, you turn off the single sample button. And then on the second end parameter, you change it to samples. And then you make it 99. And then from 0 to 99 gives us 100.
Yep.
Okay, cool. So, hey, look, our stick pipes and the balls. That's...
Okay, the stick pipes are messed up. So
that's okay. They're just stick pipes. You know, we're not too concerned. So now what the cool thing is you can see is that as Aristotle is resizing our grid and moving the grid around, that's dynamically getting all of its data dumped into the SOP2 chop, and then that's all going through into the notch block. That's the plot of Tenet right there. That's the plot of Tenet. Do you know? If you wanted to see Tenet, that you just saw it. Okay. Sick.
So
good work.
What do you want to do first? Animate them or make
let's
them?
Let's do colors first. That'd be fun. Colors always nice. Yeah, colors. Let's do colors. Okay.
So let's do noise, ramp. What do you want?
Let's do. What's a good way that's going to give us some? I think ramp probably, right? Ramp will be better because then we can see if it's working and we can like orient ourselves.
Yeah, and probably we can use the same for both the height.
Oh, that'd be nice. Yeah.
And the color.
And then so what we're going to do here is match our ramp resolution to the resolution of our grid because we know we only got 10 by 10 LEDs here. Oh, that'd be cool. Yeah, we could do that, like that animation. Abs time seconds, classic. Listen, I'm just really excited to see Tenet tomorrow. I'm just saying. I was really excited. Soundtrack is so good. The soundtrack is like Inception soundtrack had a baby with the Sicario soundtrack. You know?
Last time I saw a movie was 2 years ago.
Multiply it by, you know what it is? It's because the phase only changes on the decimals. So if you don't multiply it by a number less than 1, you'll never actually see it change. So multiply it by like 0.5 or something, and then you'll see it start to do stuff. Or do 0.1?
This is because of the resolution, perhaps? I don't know.
What? Oh, do the period. Do the period instead, not the phase. No.
Sure.
Hold on a second. Set the period to 1. Set the period below it to 1. And then now if you move the phase, it does stuff, right?
Yep.
Okay, so now set it to the Python expression that we had. Abs time dot seconds.
Let's see.
Yeah, so moving by whole numbers will never do anything. Because the phase is always like...
Yeah. It's multiply.
Yeah, exactly. So we have to... So if you put that expression back, though, it should do stuff, because it should be abs time dot seconds multiplied by like 0.0 whatever. Oh my God. Chat has saved us. Our timeline's paused. Yo, okay, hold on. The real talk. I know so many times where people have been like, "Oh, I feel like a dummy because it's paused." Yo, this happens to like the best of us. Like, this happens to everybody. Like, don't feel ashamed if this ever happens. It like happens to everybody. And then you have a good laugh and you like move on. Don't think too much about it. Like we. Thanks, chat. Chat's got our back. Thank you, chat. You got our back. Thank you.
Okay, let's make something.
Yeah, let's make something funky.
This is not
artistic
by any means.
Damn, bro, it's not artistic. Okay, hold on. I'm moving I'm going to the bottom right.
People are gonna want their money back.
No, get out of here. They would have had to give some money to get it back.
Well, I didn't name. I think the second one was for a missive, and the first one for Scholar. Okay, this is where the
Here we go.
magic should have happened, but it doesn't.
Those we probably should have named. That would have been like a good idea to name those two. Uh-oh, what do we do? Oh, look at that.
I'll tell you what, I needed to have a mapping node.
Okay, so I'd still say save this. Have we saved recently?
No, I don't do that.
I'm just gonna recommend we do a quick save. Yeah, because we just came out of a spacebar pause situation, you know. So like, yeah. So let's do a save, and then let's.
Normally, I have your autosave.
That's a good one.
But
Not bad.
Yeah.
And then let's hop back. Let's set up a mapping node. Let's get the mapping in there for that cloner array that we got going on.
Yeah, but that's why it's useful to do a previous thing.
Yeah, okay, I know. And Ben was saying, we're a little too, we're Icarus.
But see, I set up the names. That just the names didn't.
No, you know why? Because we have to do the names on the export. So when you go to export them, actually, if you go to, I'm going to move us over here. I don't know where to put us anymore. There's too many places. You can actually open up the question mark. So if you go to color.
If I go to color,
and then find the video that we exported, hit the little question mark. And then...
Yeah, it's over here. So it's color.
Yeah.
Texture. Okay, and the other one is...
We'll figure it out, yeah. the other one. Classic words.
So, okay, mapping is a tricky one, so I'll do a
I was about to say, did we delete our cloner? We should bring it back for a sec.
Unless I expose everything. Yeah.
Let's expose it. Let's do it.
Yeah.
I do wish.
Okay, this one.
I don't know what I wish, bro. Let's leave it at that.
It was a song that started.
Is it really? Probably the saddest song in the world. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Chat saying Aristotle lives dangerously. Accurate?
Not really. Okay. Yeah. Here we are. So let's reload.
Yeah, and this is one of those things where I'm still undecided because you see that clear parameter values on file change?
Yeah.
I'm still undecided if I like that or not, because what you're going to see is like when you go back now, it wiped out all the references we made.
Yeah. It did.
I wonder if that should not be default, but it's hard to say.
And it didn't load the naming here, you see. I find it that, I bet you that if I delete the node stop and I redo it again, it will come up.
Yeah, because it didn't bring in our mapping. I don't think it loaded properly, because it didn't bring in all of the mapping stuff that you exposed.
So that's...
I'm still trying to figure out, because that was running the whole time, right? I wonder, I like to like deactivate it, you know. I'm a proper boy.
Usually I do it with another name, so I'm sure it's another file, but no,
Where's all our mapping stuff?
Yeah.
Didn't you expose like a ton of parameters?
I did. Okay, let me expose it under a different name.
Saving might have been blocked. Yikes. It says Ben.
Okay, that's...
Oh, there it is. Okay, no, we're good. We're good. Yeah, that different name. There you go. Pro tip.
Cool.
Yeah, and Ben's saying actually, so it might be that when the notch top is active and reading the file, even though notch thinks it's exporting and saving and overwriting it, it might not actually be successful.
Yeah, that makes sense actually.
So let's remap our goodness. And then let's play with a little bit of mapping here. Get some kinetic light action.
Yeah, that doesn't do much.
Ben's saying it's a Windows thing. Ben, what isn't a Windows thing? That's the better. Get us off of Windows, bro. Get me a Fedora RPM of TouchDesigner is what I'm saying. You know, just saying.
Index. So yeah, we're at a funny camera position, so we cannot see.
Yeah, you're gonna like go under it or something like that and look up.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I didn't think it through.
That's okay. Here's a tech question for us in the meantime. If a notch top takes too much GPU memory, is it going to free that memory when it's not rendering? I actually don't believe so, no, because it does full load on... Sorry, I should reread. It does full memory allocation on load and then just sits there to avoid any further like memory allocation and like delays when like loading stuff. So whether it's rendering or not, or cooking is a better probably way to think about it. Whether it's cooking or not is not relative to whether it's got the whole project loaded up into memory. So if you are running into that, tough, because you know that's one of the tricky parts with notch tops so far is still like that memory management, because you may end up finding that putting them into engine comps is a better direction to go into, because then you can at least, you know, manage some loading and unloading type of situation without having to constantly like drop frames every time you try and do that. Ben saying Raspberry Pi. I just bought 2 Raspberry Pis to mess around with, but I don't think those are... It's not where I want TouchDesigner running. I think you guys are talking about running Touch on a Pi, but I guess that's fine.
Yeah.
No comment.
So I needed to play with the map. We're getting there.
Did you have to fix something on the notch side of it?
Yeah, the mapping was perpendicular.
Oh, I see.
I wanted to rotate that. Okay, so then you think I should hit that off?
Did you expose any new parameters? I would leave it on. I think there's a safety reason to leave it on, especially if you're changing files. I would just leave it on, and we remap the 2 or 3 things. It's not the worst thing ever. If you're doing a situation where you're just reloading the same one over and over again, then I think after your first one, as long as you're not exposing new, properties, then I like to turn it off just so I don't like break my references every time. Here we go, moment of truth. I should have the Tenet soundtrack prepped to play if it works. Oh.
Okay, let's see. It looks like it's doing its thing.
Where's the does it have the links here?
Okay,
this one. This is the jam.
We didn't put any glow, man. Without glow we're nothing.
Add it in, bro. Add it in.
See, we should.
Okay, hold on.
We should have done this.
I'm gonna make us quiet. I'm gonna put the Tenet soundtrack onto the background.
Okay, go ahead. We also need to bump up emissiveness.
Okay, sorry to disappoint. I had to pause the music because we got like actual stuff to do. But you got a taste. They got a taste. Do you know what I'm talking about? It's a natty taste. Okay, so you were adding glow. I agree. You need it. That's one of the really hype parts. Yeah, Luke is saying, "Damn, that was epic." The track is called 747. It's in the Tenet soundtrack. Hype. That one's sick. Foils is sick. Posterity is sick. Those are my 3 go-tos. Inversion is sick. Oh, look at this. Okay, hold on. Take a step back because I got real distracted by the Tenet soundtrack. So what was the glow that you added? You added it to the clone, right? Or did you add it to the overall scene?
You should have.
Oh man, I want to do a tutorial later.
It's glow 2.
Oh, glow to the whole scene. So you just attach it to the root. Glow 2 to the root.
Yeah, I shouldn't have. I should have attached it only to the cloner, but we don't have time to. Fair.
No, I think it looks really nice. So if you hop back in, and this is when people are like, "Why use Notch?" I mean, it's really nice. Like you just connect the node, and all of a sudden we got this like real nice glow. And it looks like our mapping's working. So in that sense, you were just fixing the. You said it was perpendicular.
Yeah, you can play with this a bit.
Look at this. Look at that. Look at that.
Okay, and we also need to adjust the resolution here because let's make it 1920. Okay.
Yeah, let's make it.
So shall we make a move then?
There's a couple of interesting ways we can do it. So, I mean, the simplest way, let's just see if it like works and looks cool, is almost put a noise sop after the grid. And then just have it like do the little like, the basic, my first SOP network situation.
Yeah, makes sense.
See, now we're talking real development. We got nulls.
Yeah.
Okay, look at that. Look at that. Look at that. People, we got kinetic lights. You go on the street, sell this for 50 grand,
Okay.
Hey, listen,
Not my best
not,
work.
it can't be art every time. Definitely looks cool though. Okay, so we're a little over time, but let's try one or two more like quick little animation things. So like, it would just be fun to do. And listen, I'm telling people in the chat, this is the last chance for those questions. So if you got like things to say, you gotta let us know. Because once we're done this, we cut it real quick.
I was hoping to have more time to do some stuff with lasers or to do some object tracking, but we need a couple of hours more.
Luke is asking, how did he apply the gradient ramp to all the clones? So what you have is the color gradient in Touch, which is the ramp that's like doing this thing. Then in the notch top, you have that exposed as a video loader from Notch. Then when you hop into Notch, you have that coming in and it goes to a material which is applied to the shape 3D, which is applied to the cloner that makes the grid. But I think the secret sauce that probably Luke is asking about is the mapping. Like if you go to the mapping node real quick, like what are the kind of settings you have on there if somebody was trying to like copy that setup?
So the idea is that if you use this material under this shape 3D and you input the textures, it will be applied on each individual object that gets cloned. So what the mapping node does for you is that it gets the textures mapped in the whole thing as a unison. So the same thing would have happened with these ones. If you have a room and you want the texture to be seemingly uniform, so you need to do something like that, and you need to there's different modes, so planar, cubic, spherical. Touch has it as well.
Because I was just about to say, it sounds really similar like when people have a bunch of geometry going into a merge SOP, then they put a texture SOP after, so that when they put the texture later, it like spreads across everything.
So you have even more options here, actually. And I understand this better, to be honest, but for people who have a Cinema 4D background, they will be, they will find it very easy in Notch. Okay,
let's do like one more animation thing. Like, what do you want to do? Do you want to do what do people always do with these things? What's the go-to move? Is it like the sine wave? Is it
I think it's the ramp. This ramp actually, where it goes in the middle.
Okay, let's do that.
Sort of
and we've already got the source for it too with these things set up. Probably the best way to do this is we'll take our source, we'll go top to chop, do a bit of shuffling magic, and then overwrite our Y positions. Right? So it seems like seems appropriate. Okay, first, so get the shuffle in there. I'd say actually just go to the noise SOP and like kill the noise SOP. We don't need that. We don't need that no more.
Perhaps use only the R channel.
Yeah, let's only get the R, because in this case, you'll see pro people do this a lot. Like they'll have an RGB texture, but because it's just grayscale, all the channels are the same. So we really only need R. And then in the top two chop, right now by default we're just getting the middle row. So let's switch the cropping mode to get the full image. That way we can get all the rows.
Yeah, so correct.
Full image. Then you're going to see this. So now essentially we have one channel per pixel row and one channel per pixel one sample per pixel column. So Shuffle Chop, what its job is going to be is to take all these and kind of just, like if you imagine like these channels here, just to like butt them up against each other, because our data format is expecting to go in that like, the Y channel just all the way across. So which mode did you sell? Did you say sequence all channels? Sequence all?
Yeah,
I think either of them will work. In most cases for people, it's either going to be sequence all channels or sequence all samples. The only difference being whether it goes row by row first or whether it goes column by column. I think honestly in this case it probably wouldn't matter. I think probably both are going to be fine in this case, but we'll find out pretty soon.
Okay, so I'm using a math top to combine chops, maybe multiply.
You know what you could do probably even is, I think we were doing this other trick recently, so plug the shuffle, well, put a rename after the shuffle. And Ben, if you're out there listening, feature request, rename capability directly on shuffle would be super hype. Let's call this TY now, because then what we can do is plug it right into our merge, and merge has this really cool like secret functionality where it acts a bit like a replace chop. So even we can just plug it into the same merge we already have. So we can delete the second merge. Yeah.
Ah, yeah. True.
This is the secret optimization tricks. And then we go to duplicate names and say replace first with last. That means when we have a TY channel at the bottom going into the merge, it's going to replace the top TY channel with our new TY channel. So now I think, yeah, the only thing probably, yeah, we need a math because we just got to like rescale it and like move it up into space and like take a look at what's going on here. So maybe the easiest thing is start with, yeah, pre-add a bunch just to like put it in the air. Get in the air. Look at that. Yo, people, this is money.
It's pretty jumpy. I don't know if.
So do increase the range a little bit, and then I think the jump we might be able to solve on the texture side. Like it might need some like
the range.
Sorry, what's that?
Increase the range.
Oh, on the math chop that you're on now. If you go to the range, just to make the range wider so that we see them actually like move, dance a little bit more. Yeah, keep going, keep going. Yeah, and then like get rid of some of that pre-add. Wait a second. No, that made it smaller range. If you do from 0 to 1 to like 0 to 5, that should probably work fine. That's fine, because then we'll just go back to the pre-add and just lessen the pre-add.
That's true.
Yeah, so now it's 5 is probably a bit too much, so maybe like 3. Yeah, and then make that 1. Cool. And then if we go to the pre-add, kind of just move it back up in the air a little bit.
Okay, I'm not
okay, I know, but you're talking about the movement, right? Like it looks jumpy and stuff like, so I think it might just be the ramp, the way we're moving the phase. So there's a couple options. One of them is we could actually turn up the ramp to a higher resolution and then use something like a resolution top to squish it down, because resolution top has a really nice interpolation. I think let's give that a try. So I would put a resolution top after that.
Yeah, I'll do.
But put the resolution top. No, it's fine. Yeah, because Notch is going to give you an error, but it's like not the worst thing ever.
I don't think it wouldn't. But then
yeah, let's
here
try
I'll do it
10
by 10.
And then the trick with resolution is that it has the.
Yeah, no.
And actually, Ben's got a good point too. We can actually. Oh, there's a new option down there. Parent panel size. That's new.
Yeah, I've been using it this week like crazy with all the UIs
nice.
we've been building, and it's been a godsend.
And then on.
Instead of writing me parent dot width all the time, it's
So try in the resolution parameters, turn on the checkbox. That's the fancy checkbox.
Yeah.
A little better. So actually, Ben's got a good point. He's saying it's probably because our ramp is getting generated at 8-bit texture. So what we could do is actually generate the ramp at 16-bit or even 32-bit. But then we'd have to drop it down probably before we send it into Notch, because I'm not quite sure if the Notch situation seems to look fine. Yeah, I don't see why.
It's got bigger problems than that.
Oh wow, deep cuts. You know you're working with an artist when. But regardless, I think it's got a look. It's doing a thing. You know, people are seeing this stuff.
Yeah, but you see how the cloners behave differently, though. The cloned objects.
Oh yeah, between the stick pipes and the balls.
I think what we should have done instead is instead of piping this directly on the cloner, I should have used this other shape as a null. So this one is always directly attached to it. But our biggest mistake was that we didn't pre-visualize the thing over here. We would have set it up correctly from the get-go, and that's
this is more performance art than it is real development. But yeah.
Anyhow, whatever. So yeah, this should be 0 now, since it's not. Anyhow,
now the artist is really coming out. He's lining it up.
Anyhow, fuck that.
I was gonna say, yeah, I think that's cool. If you got questions about it, you can let us know now. But I'm gonna bring us up. You can turn screen sharing off. We'll go side by side for a little thank you and a little send off.
Actually, since we have Ben here, could we ask about how would we do the object chop? To connect.
Wait, are you asking me or are we asking chat?
A bunch of points.
Both. Okay, so Aristotle was asking me before, like, if we wanted to go full Robert Henke and like shoot lasers at these balls, how do we go about it? And we were discussing possibilities of using stuff like object chop. I guess you would have the laser position and then the ball, and then object chop kind of gives you like the transforms between them. I guess you could do it a bit more manual way, because actually what I was doing recently with somebody else was figuring out the rotation of instances to have them point back at the center, like at the origin 0, 0, 0. So as all these instances are flying around, they're all kind of dynamically pointing at the center. And the math I used for that was, let me see here. Actually, I don't have my screen sharing stuff set up, but open up a browser if you don't mind.
Yep.
And if you look up rotate one object to point to another, it was using atan2, so we're like using function chop and all this good stuff. Yeah, we can't do any of those. Put GLSL after it, or math, because we want the math for it. Like, these are all going to be use AutoCAD's auto lookup. Yeah, go to that rotating an object around a defined point. Go down a little bit. Yeah, that one. Yeah, scroll down, scroll down. No, not these ones. Go back. Try a different link. I just want to find the math so I can be like, that's the one. And then just start clicking on different links. Okay, not this one. Go back. Damn, what did I look up? Here, let me look it up. Hold on. What's your idea? You tell me your idea while I'm trying to find what I did.
I was trying to figure it out using the object chop.
Yeah. Do you want to try it now, like real quick?
Yeah, but then I was trying to pass that over on touch and it didn't work. So anyhow, let's say we have two sphere. So okay. We want to connect these two. So my idea was to try connect 2 points and then figure it out how to do it from one point to all the instances. If I wanted to do multiple lasers.
Yeah.
So this I'd convert to polygons with frequency of 1. Correct? let's say one lives left of the center, and the other one lives, I don't know, whatever, random. Okay, and then you get an object chop. Not directly, you need to do chop to chop. But, does this make any sense? And then pipe those two in.
I think object chop, if you click on it, usually...
I would do the measurements, I think. I tried. But go ahead, sorry.
I was going to say, because most cases I've seen of the object chop use, I don't remember if people plug anything into it. I think you can directly reference the SOP from it, can't you? Because it's more SOP. So like unplug the inputs. And then go to the object. And you see target object and reference object. Do those drag and drop? What are those looking for? Maybe we can open up the help real quick. I'm not like an object chop connoisseur by any stretch. Two output channels contain a raw relative position orientation. Yeah, so I think this in general though, even if we had, it's per point you get an object. So it's kind of like how you think about logic chop. Like logic chop doesn't operate on tons of samples.
Yeah, makes sense.
So hold on, what does it say for target object? Does it tell us what type it's expecting there?
Was that
if you scroll down a little bit. Oh, hold on, stop. Too far, go up. Go up. Okay, yeah, right there. Target object being compared. Try doing it as, it's not going to work, but just try typing the name of the SOP. I don't think it's going to work though.
Yeah. Like OP.
No, just put in like sphere 2 and see if it works. I don't think it's going to work though. No, it doesn't work. Wait, what's the warning say?
Object
must
comp.
Be an object comp. Interesting.
Okay.
What is an object comp? Dun dun dun! No such thing exists.
Maybe a null would be an object.
Got you.
But why? Sorry, run. Okay, null. There you go.
I don't remember. Hold on, before we try this, one thing to try though is.
I need to reference this to this one. So if
you just put it inside.
Yeah. Oh, if I do it like that. So now it's on the same.
I guess, but the problem with that though is, I think the object chop's still not going to give you what you want, because the object chop is I think between 2 points. The object chop is not going to iterate over every point pair.
True.
So you'd have to set up an object chop for every point pair and then have to make separate references for every single one. I think you want the other math. And if I remember the other math off the top of my head, and I'm pretty sure if anyone looks up online, rotating an object to point at another object, you're going to find the math pretty quick. It's basically like you take the 2 positions, you subtract them from each other, and then you put them into a function chop, and you set the function chop to be a tan 2. So, yeah, I mean, you could try it real quick, I think. So math chop after the 2 SOP to chops. But then this still only also does 1-to-1 point pairing. So you'd have to do a little bit of like splice chop magic to, 1 to everything, 2 to everything, 3 to everything. Do you know what I mean? No. That's how you know it's deep in the live stream. You know what I mean? Like, no idea. No idea, bro.
No, it sounds reasonable, but I haven't done it before, for sure.
Oh, actually, Rajat's saying Matthew's instancing example has object chop examples.
Ah, cool.
That might be the solution here. But so actually delete one of the maths because you just got to plug both into one.
Yeah. Matthew to the rescue, as always.
What hasn't Matthew saved? You know what I'm talking about? So plug the second one into the first one. Then you would do something like subtract the channels, or subtract chops, yeah. Then you put a function chop after it. Also, I don't know why that's all like flatlined. It should not be flatlined.
Because it's the same shape.
But aren't they in different positions? Oh, I guess, yeah, because they're in different positions. So everything is just like pointing.
Yeah.
And then you have to select out the tx and ty from the math. But you got to select them separately, annoyingly. So you have to have one select for tx and one select for ty.
Yeah, that's the best kind.
And then you plug in ty to the first input of function chop, tx the second input. And then you go into function chop, and you set the function to be atan2. And that would give you the degrees of rotation from the one object to rotate and point to the other one. I believe one of the gotchas was, if I remember, the 0 is along the x. So usually we think of 0 as looking up, like pointing straight up. If I remember correctly, 0 in this case was pointing positive x.
Yeah. So, okay. So now we'd have to figure out how to do with multiple objects. And anyhow,
well, and that's what I was saying. So I think if that was the case, you would do a little bit of chop manipulation on the front end, where you like you take one sample and you splice in 10, then you take one, then you splice in 10. You kind of just do like a bunch of that, like copy and pasting with the splice chop, or merge chop or join chop, like whichever one like you're more comfortable with. And then I think you could build out the equation, because atan2 will just do the math on all of them. But with that said, I think we're gonna wrap this rodeo up because we're getting out of control here. Matthew to the rescue, though. Everyone, you go to Matthew's website. What is it? MatthewReagan.com. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know where it is. Okay, I got us both on screen now because we gotta like sign this off. Because surprising to people's thoughts, I have things to do. I have actual work still. Like this is for fun.
I can vouch for
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about? So, first of all, thank you, my friend, for joining us. It's been a real pleasure.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, especially.
My pleasure. Always my pleasure. Thanks to the chat for joining us. I know we've had a little bit of a long one today. A lot of topics. A bit of a slog at the end there. Where can people, Aristotle, find more about you, your work? You got Instagram they should follow at works.
I got Instagram
works of AR.
both for my artistic stuff and for the commercial practice, let's say. So Aristotle Photography is one, or works of art.
Paste them in the chat. Do you got the chat open? Just start like copying and pasting links.
I turned it off, I think. Yeah. So
here, I'll tell a joke while you're getting the links up. Yo, knock knock. No, wait, shit. I messed it up. It's not a knock knock joke. Here's the real joke. Okay, there's 2 sausages in a frying pan. Okay? One sausage looks at the other, says, "Hot enough for you?" Other sausage turns on and says, "Holy shit, a talking sausage!" That's the joke. Okay.
I learned the joke.
So, at Works of AR, that's your Instagram. One of them.
It's works of art because it's works of Aristotle, not of AI.
Yeah, I know, but like, it's works of, so it's not. Both work though. Both work.
Both. That's a trick.
Both works of art. Okay, so it's works of art.
But yeah, if anyone wants to reach out, as I said, I'm all about collaborations and working together and having fun. So feel free.
Yeah, and is the best way for them to hit you up like what, Instagram DMs?
Instagram, Facebook, email.
Do you want to drop your email in there if anyone? I don't know how YouTube chat works. Is that going to be public email then, like everyone?
To be honest, I don't want to drop it on YouTube.
Okay.
But,
so you know what to do. I'll put my email up on the screen.
We have some smart people around, so they can do it.
Where's my thing? I'll put my email. Anyone who wants to hit up Aristotle, just hit me up. Hit that email up. I'll connect you faithfully. Is there any final words you'd like to leave viewers with before we sign off and clearly degenerate into Friday afternoon madness?
This was a lot of fun and I really enjoyed it. And thank you everyone for watching. I hope it wasn't too boring or painful. And
there's no way it can be boring and painful.
Thank you.
We're a walking circus. Okay, great. Well, thank you, my friend, for joining us. It's been a super pleasure.
Thank you, man.
Chat, thank you for helping us unpause the timeline. Forever indebted. Like I said before, actually, Aristotle, I got to take you off the screen because my text is on the other slide. So thank you, my friend, for joining us.
Thank you.
Let me go over here for a second. Okay, because this is... hey, folks, I'm still here with you. No, not the music. We don't need the jukebox. That's what I needed. Okay. Don't forget our new schedule. Second Friday of every month, 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern. We're going to try and focus a lot of these sessions on having guests with us. So by all means, if you have a great guest suggestion or if you would like to be a guest, hit us up at support@interactiveimmersive.io. We're happy to talk to anybody and figure out how we can spread some community love for sure. That's like a big thing for us. With that said, recording of this should go up on our YouTube pretty soon. I think we have... I think YouTube holds it for a while. We also keep a recording. We have all the Twitch recordings too. We got to find a place for those, so don't worry. It's in our coconuts. So, with that said, thanks everybody for joining us. Until the next time, we'll see you very soon. Peace.